So I'm very confused, like with Nerd Rage these days, because for example, episode 408 published on Patreon. No, published last Thursday. So today is Monday, June 19th. Whatever Thursday's date was is when 408 came out. I published 409 on Patreon today, and then that hits Thursday of this week publicly. And then this will go on Patreon the following Monday, and then the following Thursday will go live.
Well, public. Yeah.
So I get very confused as to like what I've covered and what I haven't covered and what I've got going on. So forgive me, I'm going to do my best. I didn't keep great notes this week. But Joe and Chris are both on assignment this week, and in their stead we have Phil.
What's up,
Maryland Phil? And then for Juneteenth celebration, we have Dante as well. You know, not for nothing, Juneteenth is a new holiday that I can get behind that.
Yeah,
I think it's like it's a significant change in our history. It changed the trajectory of everything. It seems like a holiday. It seems like we should have a fucking holiday.
Yeah, in the middle of June.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not quite July yet.
It seems
it's
like
after Memorial Day.
I put my chips behind it. That to me seems appropriate. You know, sometimes I'm like, man, like really just give a holiday to fucking any old thing. Like, you know, but like this one seems proper to me.
It's not like a commercial holiday like Valentine's Day or something.
Not yet.
No, they tried last year.
What did they do last year?
What did they do
last? Ice cream at Walmart.
They do Juneteenth ice cream?
Yeah,
they did.
They made them pull it quick.
What flavor?
Oh my
was
god!
I don't even know what the flavors were. But
double chocolate.
Dude, they could go.
But
they could go super. They could go super off the wall if they wanted to.
Some white dude was like, "I'm gonna beat you to it," and he started putting this ice cream out, and they're like, "No,
no." And Walmart carries everything, so if they said no,
I have a really horrible joke to make.
Of course you do.
Well, I remember.
Well, I mean, you could do. About the ice cream thing, you could do a whole bunch of stuff.
I remember there was a comedian that said it'll as soon as it becomes commercialized, everything will be 3/5 off.
With mattress sale, son.
Oh my god,
it's that time.
It's funny, but yeah, I think it's an appropriate holiday. I'm all for it. I'm all for it. You know, I don't want to get rid of any of the other ones. Like I think the more days off or extra pay or whatever is like I'm standing behind it. But I think that this one is one that like I'm like yeah, like that probably should have happened some time ago.
Yeah, this is like a long time coming.
People have been kind of low key celebrating it anyway.
Oh yeah,
but it hasn't been a federal. It hasn't been like.
I guess I just never got the invite. That makes sense.
Yeah, I never got the invite either.
If
But
anyone's going to get
I don't.
like, hey, yo, Bobby, come through.
Yeah. I'm not there for the barbecue.
We can't tell you what it's for, but
just hang out. It's fine.
So how long has it been going on? You think since you were a kid or no?
No, I would say at least the last 6 years or so. That's where I really started hearing about it. But I think in Texas they've been doing this for years in Texas because like they were the last ones to get the memo. So,
okay.
Like, oh, okay. Well, we'll celebrate it, and everybody was like, well. I guess it's official because that was like the last
holdout.
state.
Yeah.
And when this podcast comes out, it'll be almost 2 weeks after. But that's fine.
Anyway.
It's fine. They can still celebrate.
Yeah. You could be on Juneteenth.
Keep the party rolling.
Yeah. So you guys both came in the door at the same time, but I think in honor of Juneteenth,
of
Dante.
course. Let Dante go first.
You know,
Dante can open up the story about the movie we saw yesterday.
Never say we didn't give you nothing.
And
those two other guys that walked out of the theater with us yesterday, that's how I imagine they would be talking when they walked out.
They look like the two characters from the movie.
They did. They look like the two guys in the mask.
So how's your nerd weeks been?
It's been all right. Phil and we went to see The Blackening for Juneteenth.
Yesterday.
It's fun time. It's one of those movies like it's like.
Where does it take place?
I don't know that they ever.
I don't know. They said it's in the woods somewhere.
Yeah, it's just a
It
cabin.
almost
in the
seems like it
woods.
would be.
I'm already having a hard time suspending my disbelief.
Maybe.
Well, exactly.
As
soon as I saw that, I was
exactly.
like, no.
When they're driving to a cabin in the
no.
woods, I was like, would this really happen? I mean, come on.
No, it wouldn't. Every time we talk
It
about
was some kind of Friends reunion in the plot line. I was like,
Yeah.
really? Would they do that?
So yeah, basically the whole kind of premise is it's a 10-year reunion amongst a bunch of friends. They all graduated and what have you. And they arrive and there's a game in the game room on the Blackening. You open it up and it's got.
I've seen the trailer for this.
Yeah, it shows very like Jim Crow looking African American blackface on the center of the game board.
Oh, I'm not sure if I noticed that, but yeah,
it's.
I believe it.
But basically the game kind of is almost kind of like Jumanji in a sense where the game automatically goes and you gotta play type deal. This is not as fantastical as Jumanji. No animals appeared.
Yeah, good.
But it's very, very based in reality in the sense that like, oh, it's somebody behind it all, really. But it was a lot of, stereotypical, like, like the jokes about like everyone, like, oh, well, who's the blackest? It's like they look around, it's like the one dude, like the darkest dude in the room. It was like, why y'all looking at me? It was like, because you're literally from Africa. Like, you like, I think they say you're still in the factory seal rap or whatever, or some shit like that.
They did some jokes in there that I would not feel comfortable repeating, of course.
Yeah, there were a lot of jokes that were really, really good, but there were some jokes, they were good, but the timing was wrong.
There was some stuff that I saw in the trailer where I was like, oh, this seems like such a paint by numbers type of joke for these sorts of movies.
Yeah, I mean, it's no different than a scary movie.
You're like, insert a, I know that's right. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, like, it's like,
had a whole,
sometimes
whole
it almost seems like it's like people that are out of touch, like trying to imitate the way they think that certain cultures and stuff talk and shit. And it's like, not to say the whole thing is like that, just to say like,
for the most part, it was on par, like with like current lingo and stuff. But I mean, again, there were just some jokes that I think the timing was just a little off in the sense of like, it was like one joke here, a joke here, and it's like, all right, give us a break. And they try to force another one. I was like, okay, like chill, like let us breathe, let us watch it. As far as like a horror movie in itself, not exactly scary or anything. It's a horror comedy,
right?
But it was fun all the same.
Pretty good.
When it comes out on some sort of streaming, I'll watch it again. If it's $4.99 on anything, I'll buy it.
Oh, you'll pay to. Oh, so you'll buy it for $4.99.
I'll buy it for $4.99.
Gotcha.
I ain't gonna rent nothing for $4.99.
Gotcha.
But then had a whole lot of Phil in my life recently. Like he came over, we watched.
Lucky you.
Right? He came over and someone sent us a film to review called Killer KiTes.
I'm sorry, Killer
Kites with the T.
Okay.
Tight.
I was like, look, don't be getting just because it's June 19th, don't be getting crazy. I still got to be accountable for this programming.
He made a point of like when we were about to record. After that, he's like, make sure I say kite with not anything else. Make sure I enunciate.
Say, I make sure people say, hey, with the T.
Yeah,
I'm not that guy.
Yeah, me neither.
But we watched that. It's a bunch of friends making a movie, so it's what it is.
A super low budget, yeah.
Yeah, extremely. Like I wouldn't even say there was a budget.
No. Have you ever heard of the film Birdemic?
Birdemic?
Birdemic.
Yeah. No.
Okay, so that's the only thing I could reference where the special effects are like that, where it looks like it was made with Photoshop badly.
Actually, when I mentioned it,
I went through the Birdemic in 2019, 2020.
God,
when I mentioned it to Shoki, I mentioned it to him.
Oh, you did?
And the first thing he said was, "Would effects like Birdemic?"
Yeah,
and I was like, "Exactly like Birdemic."
Yeah.
So, again, another movie where it's like, would I say, Bobby, you need to see this one? Absolutely not. But if you stumbled upon it, it's like, check it out. It's fun for what it is. It's definitely not a good movie, but it's one of those movies where it's like, I'd put it on in the background, make noise, shit like that. And really, that's what Spider-Verse. We went to see that. Sophie enjoyed it.
Good.
I think she enjoyed it.
Yeah, Joe saw it and loved it.
I enjoyed it.
And Chris loved it. It just takes an awful lot to get me out of bed and get me into a movie theater to watch a cartoon.
So Mario.
I did. It took a lot.
Okay.
It took a lot.
But you're a bigger Mario fan than Spider-Man fan, right?
I wouldn't say that, no. Okay. But I'm not. I'll be honest with you. I would prefer animated Spider-Man movies that were just about Spider-Man. I think I've had it with Multiverse.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. I'm over it.
Okay.
I'm over it.
I mean, there's been two bad ones, so
yeah, like the multiverse in Marvel, the multiverse in Spider-Man, the multiverse in DC. I feel like there's something else that has a multiverse in it recently that they
everything
everywhere all at once.
Actually, good.
I was hit or miss for me, but I liked.
I think there's been 2 out of 4 that have been good. That in Spider-Man
and Black Mirror just started, and their first episode had a multiversal type thing.
I've just had it. I've had my fill. I have multiverse fatigue.
Well, and that's the thing. I used to be like just for years obsessed with the ideal of that, and now the world is like, hey, so are we. Let's feed them.
Yeah, I don't know why they feel the need to do it everywhere all at once. You know what I mean? It's like
competition.
It's exhausting. I don't like if DC did a multiverse now and then Marvel did one, 5-10 years later, and then Sony or whatever, like I think I would have an easier time with it, but it's like it's just so bloody. Like it just feels like just rinse and repeat at this point. And I think that I'm like when I watched the Spider-Man trailer, right? There's nothing about it that like, and I'm sure it's great, but there's nothing about it that draws me to it. Okay. It's just a bunch of different Spider-Men jumping around, and I am not, and like the villain is this is character that I don't know. It's like a polka dot man, white and black. Yeah, like there's just I don't know. There's just nothing about it that turns me on. And that doesn't mean that it's good or bad. There's stuff about Flash trailers that turn me on that ended up being bad, but it's just like it takes a lot for me to go see a cartoon in a movie theater.
Super Pets?
Yeah, that was fucking great. That was
Did it take a lot to get you there?
No, because it was out of my hands. Like my family was going to see a kids movie. I was just off that day.
Okay,
so it was either I say no, I'm not going to go with the family. I'm going to make content about action figures while my whole family goes out and does something, or I'm going to go. So
that was situational, and you just happened to be there. It's like, oh, okay, this is
really good. And then I was like, this is fucking awesome.
With the Little Mermaid, it was like, oh, we're going to see a Little Mermaid.
You saw the Little Mermaid, the remake, the recent one.
I was there. I was present.
How was it?
I was present.
It's not being received well.
And the thing is, Sarah was. I think out of the three of us, Sarah was the bigger fan of it. Mm-hmm. Like Sophie checked out 10 minutes in. She's in the dark trying to learn how to tie her shoes. Like I'm taking a nap.
Right.
Like the singing. The girl who's playing Arrow,
Haley Berry,
something like that.
She can sing her ass off.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah,
Ursula, great.
Yeah, I heard Ursula. Everything else, Ursula was really good.
How are the eels?
Oh yeah, the eels actually
really good.
Yeah, they were solid. Nice. They were solid. Like everything else was just like
I heard everything else live action was really weird. Like Sebastian as the crab. And
Sebastian and Flounder both look weird.
Flounder was oh my god! Like, I checked out. As soon as I saw Flounder, I was like, "What is that tilapia?"
Look how they massacred my boy.
It looked horrible, and I was just like, "All right."
Is he the actual flounder? Like he's on his side swimming like a flounder would?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's fucking trash.
Yeah.
And I checked out. I saw that. I was like,
tastes good.
I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here now. And I looked over at Sophie. She's fucking with her shoelaces. And I was like,
wait, since Sarah was a super fan, what is Sarah?
I wouldn't say she was a super fan,
no, but she grew up.
She enjoyed it. And the thing is, I like the animated Little Mermaid.
Yeah.
It was, it was like, oh, this is fun. But like when we left, I sent her a video, a comedian talking about it. Oh, no. And he wasn't trashing it.
Okay.
He was kind of trashing like society's take on it. Mm-hmm. But also at the same time trashing the movie. And like Sarah, like after she watches videos, like, is this how you feel about it? I'm like,
it's a trap.
So yeah, I had to like go through all the scenarios. And I was like, well, no, but he's not wrong.
What was the comedian saying?
I can't remember. Like, it was so long ago. It was Ryan Davis. So he the shit that he says is always like, oh boy.
I saw this comedian today on Instagram. It was just like some dude, and he had like a trucker hat, and he had like a beard and like kind of longish hair, not long hair, but just like longish hair. And he's like, dude, it's a rough time for guys with resting January 6th face.
Oh, damn.
It was pretty funny.
Who was that? What comedian was
I don't even know what his name was. But
pretty good.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
So did Sarah end up liking it? Or?
Yeah, she enjoyed it. She enjoyed it. I mean, but she also agreed, like what I said, was like, it was unnecessary. All these are unnecessary.
I agree.
All they're doing is like, oh, let's cash in on some sort of nostalgia.
Really?
What's been the best one that you've seen?
I like Cruella the most.
Yeah, I liked Cruella. I like Mulan a lot. I like
Mulan was good. Those two, yeah. I like
Other
those
than
two.
that, any of them that I've seen that I've actually.
I'm going Jungle Book.
So I haven't seen Jungle Book.
Dude, Jungle Book was good.
I heard Jungle
I
Book
have
was
to see
okay.
the Andy Serkis version. That's the version I've heard is better.
I don't. What do you mean?
That was the more recent version.
The Disney one. I'm talking about the Disney one. The Disney remakes.
Yeah,
the Disney live
Disney.
action film.
Yeah, that was John Favreau that did it,
yeah.
and I thought that was okay.
I liked it. I liked
haven't seen-
Christopher Walken as King Louis.
Yeah, that was
fucking great.
That was
Yeah,
probably the
I-
best part for me, actually.
I did not know that. I
Yeah,
have
it's
not seen
Christopher
it.
Walken. Yeah.
I think Sarah saw it and she was like, and I think that's what I based it off of. She was like,
Yeah.
it was fine.
The Andy
I was like,
Serkis-
okay.
I think Jungle Book is one of those ones that like always works though. Like I think it's like it's just like something about it. Like every time I see a live action, every time I see it, I'm just like, man, this is good. This always works. It's like Mowgli just off in the jungle living with the animals. It's like I don't know why. It works for me.
Oh, and
Seems
I like Joe's nemesis as the snake. What's her name?
Oh, Johannesson.
Johansson, yeah.
Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the Andy Serkis version is supposed to be a little more serious, a little more cutthroat. But it's still a Disney story with Mowgli, but it's
Well, I mean,
But it wasn't done by Disney though.
no, it wasn't done by Disney.
right because the original story is with Mowgli.
Yeah.
You know, like the Rudyard Kipling book
Yeah.
is with Mowgli. So I mean, the Disney one is specific because of I think like the fire and shit. Like I think is specific to the Disney one.
Okay.
But I don't know. I'm far from a fucking expert on it. But like I saw there was a live action one that when I was a kid. Jungle Book live action
I saw
that I
when
loved.
I was a kid. And I was like, wow,
Yeah.
I've seen it like one time all the way through when I was
There's
real
a
young.
ton of snakes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I loved it. I was like, whoa, this is way different than the cartoon.
Yeah, my
I was
dad
like,
used to rent it for me like every time I was sick, like
Okay.
sick from school. Like it was that and Never Ending Story. Like would be like the two movies he'd always rent for me.
I suppose I should sit down and watch that one day.
Dude, you've never seen it? Dude,
I
that
saw
shit
it-
is
I saw
good,
it in
bro.
Spanish.
I've seen it.
That shit is good. That shit is still good. I just watched it with them like a couple months ago because they had never seen it. That shit is still good.
How's the sequel?
Such awful. It's awful. It's awful. Sequel's
the same
awful.
kid?
Sequel was always awful. I don't think so.
Oh, it's a different kid, yeah.
There's like a duck. There's like a Howard the Duck type looking.
Howard the Duck?
Type looking.
Yeah, I have seen that.
It's awful.
That you know what probably like tunes me out from the first one is I probably saw like shit from the second one. I was like, I don't think I need.
Yeah, that first one is a whole different ball of wax.
We watched it in Spanish class, and I don't speak Spanish.
Weird.
So
I love
checked out.
the Gwark or whatever his name is, the wolf. And like the whole idea, the nothing, and it's like it's really well done. It's working within the effects range of its time. But it's like you just had to accept that as part of it.
Yeah. I mean, that's one thing when we were doing the horror through the decades is trying to understand
Of its time.
from its
Yeah.
time,
Yeah.
not holding it up to today.
Yeah, it's unfair.
You can't watch something from 1930s and say, well, the effects are such dog shit. It's like,
Yeah.
the effects are fucking cutting edge for the time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think I didn't really do a whole hell of a lot. Went to the comic shop a few times.
All right.
Because Sophie likes going there. Just
Which one do you go to?
she likes to go to Third Eye because
It's huge.
yeah,
Yeah.
I go to Capitol. I actually went to Comics to Astonish the other day
Oh, really?
Where is Capitol?
on Main Street in
Oh, in
Annapolis.
Atlanta. Okay, that's right.
Yeah.
Annapolis.
Oh, yeah, on the right
I forget
when you're going
about that
towards the
one.
water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't been there.
I haven't been there in a
years.
long
I
time.
walked in.
That's a small store. It's like a shotgun store.
Yeah, and I like the feeling. Like you get in there,
Yeah.
like everything's right there. I get what I need. The dude is, like I walked in. I haven't seen him probably since Sophie was like a baby. He goes, dude, long time.
That's crazy.
And I was like, we got to talking,
Yeah.
and it's funny because he knows what I like.
Yeah.
Here's the story. Robert Kirkman's on it. I was like, I'll check it out. Like, fuck, you got me,
Yeah.
sucker. But yeah, that's it. Just filling into the new job and bowling a lot because
Oh, because they like to be. That's true.
Oh,
They
yeah.
do love that.
Well, the dude that I'm with, he's a shit talker. Like I don't know what his diagnosis is, but like he's very aware of everything. He's very independent. I would say he's 30, but he's got the mental capacity of a 7-year-old. So he likes, doing like, repetitive things. Let's bowl. He plays basketball. But the thing is, he talks too much shit. So I told him, every time you talk trash, I'm going to block your shot. So then he'll go over, I'm not going to say nothing. And then he'll take your shot, and then there's a shot in here, you piece of crap. I'm like, nah, I'm going to score. And you will not score again this game. So
how is his like talking cadence and all that? Is it it's all good?
Solid, yeah. I mean, it's
less entertaining though, isn't it?
It has to work for me because I couldn't. If I can't understand them, it's not gonna work.
Yeah, no.
Because I will turn to him like, I don't know what you said. And they had me work with a dude who's nonverbal. Like so, like
does he do sign language?
No, not at all.
Damn.
I didn't know what the fuck this dude wanted.
He's just non-communicative.
Yeah, like when the music was on the radio, like it was like 95.9 plays old school hip hop.
Oh, okay.
Around noon, and then he got hyped when Biggie came on. I was like, oh, you want the music up? All right, cool. Turn the music up loud as shit.
Yeah. I
was like, damn, I ain't got to,
wow.
Hear like the.
Bobby.
But and he like, I think they figured with me, they're like, oh, you like sports, just put all the ones that like sports with Dante, because that's what ends up happening. We go to the basketball court, and I'm like, here's the ball.
Dante injures his knee.
Yeah, I was playing. Well, actually, no, I jumped the fence to go get the ball.
Oh shit!
Shot an air ball. I was like, shit, and I jumped the fence and like pop, and I was like, oh shit, too old to be jumping fences.
Yeah. What about you, Phil?
I took a little trip to Florida to visit Dad. I hadn't seen him since before the pandemic. So
pandemic, you mean?
Yeah, come on, Bobby. Come on.
Anyway, I'm just kidding.
You and I both know better than that. I got to visit a place I hadn't been to in years since I saw them last. Was a serpentarium where they take venom from snakes. You got to see that show again. That was pretty cool. So I
saw some of your pictures from it. Like
I posted some online.
Yeah.
So
I like to see the pictures, but you ain't on Instagram.
Yeah, dude, that is crazy.
It's wild because I put your review up on Instagram and everything, man.
I go on Facebook like a doctor's appointment, like a check-in like once a month.
Sarah be saying like, did you see the thing on Facebook? I was like, girl, I don't go on Facebook unless it's on accident.
I only see Bobby's grumpy face on Facebook once a year.
Yeah, you know what's funny about that is that
sometimes it's an anniversary picture.
I am very much like, I hate everybody just always posting pictures of them smiling like a bunch of fucking idiots. Like I look at the old pictures. Like I was looking through some of Laura's family like has like a lot of pictures from like their grandparents, great grandparents from like Germany and Argentina and like Austria and like all like just it's amazing. And all of them are like, it's really who they are. Like it's like these real moments, and like you can see like fucking, I don't know, like the light in their eyes. Like you can see like what it is about them. And then I look at like our fucking society with everybody just fucking smiling like a complete fucking moron and then it's like none of it captures like, unless it's like a real laugh or something or a real, none of it captures these like the soul of a person.
Doesn't feel genuine.
Yeah.
When I see the picture of you and your dad both scowling, I can see the soul.
Yeah. But
it's genuine though.
It's just real. And like my dad's a serious fucking dude, man, and he takes life pretty fucking serious. So like when he does smile in pictures, like it doesn't even look like him. You know, like, and it's like, and then that's the shit that's the shit people are gonna remember you by. So I always try to just like, if I'm having a good time, I'm not gonna Kanye it. I'm not gonna like smile and then turn it off for the camera. If I'm having a good time, I'm having a good time. But like, I'm not gonna just get in front of a camera having a regular time and then just fucking cheese like a dickhead. You know, that's me.
So yeah, it was for anti-venom and medical research and stuff, but it's a public display, like it's behind glass. It's pretty cool. The other thing, I got to feed an alligator at like a big alligator park. So it was pretty cool.
For Juneteenth?
What's that?
For Juneteenth?
No, this is well before that.
What did you feed it?
We've had hot dogs, actually, on a big
glizzy gobbler.
Yeah, dude. Well, when they do the big show beforehand, they feed them chicken out on a line. They get them to jump out of the water to get the chicken off the line. But when you pay the extra money to feed them yourself, the handler's with you, and they give them, here's a handful of hot dogs. You feed them. And they said, hold on to the metal pole because they'll grab the entire thing.
Right.
And they'll... Yeah, so...
As I said, I've had to do the same thing with certain girls, man.
But it was cool because I sat there and chatted with the handler of the guy for a little bit after we were done, and we got to see like some rare like mating behavior between a pair that was a couple. Well, they had a nest there. The female was like guarding the embankment.
They're fucking.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Do they fuck?
They're not. Yeah, they do in the water.
Okay.
But
that's wild.
But
that's awful. It always sounds like a good idea until you go for it.
No, I don't want to do it. But I want to see the alligators do it. But fucking Google that tonight.
But so these were actually a pair of crocodiles I had there because I have a mix of animals. These were West African, and the crocodiles will bury their nests. And so, unbeknownst to her, the handlers have removed the eggs so they can hatch them in captivity and give a better chance of survival. But she thinks that they're still there, so she doesn't let anybody on that bank. And there's one male, her mate, that comes up there that she'll let on there. And she was like hissing at him for a little bit, then kind of lays her head on him, and then lets him pass. And he's the only one she'll let up there without biting.
It's interesting.
So, yeah, it was cool to see because it was just happenstance that I was there. And he's like, wait, hold on. This is rare. So you probably want to... he and I were both videotaping it on the phone. So that was really very cool. So yeah, that was cool. I got to go to Margaritaville because my former roommate lives there. He lives on the resort, so he's at his house half the time, then rents it out half the time.
Oh yeah.
So he took me around a little bit there. And,
that's cool.
Yeah, it was cool. They has the giant flip flop in the hotel from the Margaritaville song.
Yeah.
Ridiculous, but it's fun.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so Florida was fun. Hadn't been there in a while.
Yeah.
I got to go to a Nat Geo talk down in DC.
Oh yeah.
About
what was the topic?
T-Rex.
Yeah, there you go. It all checks out.
It was at Lincoln Theater. So it was their annual celebration thing, and the paleontologist they had there was somebody from Carolina. So you got to talk about her field work and stuff. It was really cool.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah, so that was pretty cool. I've got to see a bunch of movies, but of course, The Blackening with Dante. That was pretty fun.
Killer Kites, don't forget that.
Oh, Killer Kites
with a T.
Killer Kites.
Killer Kites. And that opens up a new avenue for us on So You Like Horror. So there's another what was the other one? The sewer alligators?
Sewer gators.
Sewer gators. We want to see is by the same guy. We want to see it. Looks like it has a little more production value.
It's actually on Tubi. It's on Tubi TV for free.
Oh, that's a good sign.
Tubi has a lot of good stuff on Tubi.
Tubi has a lot of stuff.
Tubi don't be letting me down.
Amazon Prime and Netflix.
Hey man, I watched Family Ties the other night on Tubi. I was excited. I don't even like Family Ties. This shit sucks. But I was happy.
I liked it. I liked it as a kid anyway. I haven't seen it.
Dude, I liked it as a kid too.
Yeah, I won't go back. I won't go back.
I made that mistake.
Yeah, I won't go back.
And to be fair, thanks to Dante, because I wouldn't have gone to see The Blackening without him.
Right. I
would have been a little bit out of my element, but surprising.
You gotta get comfortable out of your element.
Man, you would have been fine.
Well, so back in the day when the first Samuel L. Jackson Shaft came out, my buddy and I went, and we were obviously the only white two people in the theater.
Really? I don't know. Like I saw that also.
Did you see it in the theater?
Yeah.
Okay.
2009.
I don't remember. It was the one with Christian Bale as the bad guy.
Yeah, I can't remember. I saw one of the remakes, and I saw it in the theater. I think I saw it like it was a very diverse audience. It wasn't like the theater that I went to that I was definitely like I was a one of one. It was in Westview.
Yeah, I was about to say that's Westview.
Yep, and it was Rhyme and Reason, and there was a couple funny events that happened, but one of which I always tack onto this story, but it's not even part of the story. It's actually from a different time. But we were going in, and it was me, Laura, this guy Lamar, and Adam. And Lamar, yeah, that dude is funny. This a side story. So this dude Lamar that I know, when I got kicked out of my middle school, I went to private school for 2 years, and I met this dude Lamar, black dude, and he was funny as shit. But he was way different than anybody I'd ever met because they were all like private school kids.
Okay.
And I made the mistake of taking Lamar around like friends of mine in my public school world, and it was a huge error. And we bumped into this dude in our travels. This dude, Mike, who wasn't like a tough guy, but he was definitely like he wasn't a private school guy at all.
Mike.
Goon adjacent.
Yeah, goon adjacent.
Was Mike just a nickname, or how did he?
Yeah, like his name was Mike, and they just Mike. It was just like that was.
Okay.
So anyway, I was like Mike, Lamar, Mike, and Lamar went. Gave him a dap or whatever, and Lamar was like, oh, Mike, and then he took his fist and he hit his chest one time. He went, Lamar.
I mean, that tracks. I mean, that's. I would be thinking,
and I could see it. I could see it in Mike's face. I was like, fuck. I was like, we just. I was like, look, we're getting the fuck out of here. Don't worry about this dude, man. There was a couple times I had these little weird like crossover events. So this other dude that I went to
multiverse, Bobby.
Yeah. So this other dude that I went to private school with was this dude Dean, and he was cool as shit. He could draw. He was into comics, but he was nerdy in a very peculiar way. Like he was a weird dude, and like he was the type of dude that like took Ritalin and all that when like like he was hyper, right? Well, he ended up, I don't know why, but he ended up coming to public school for his senior year of high school. I don't know what happened, but he ended up coming to public school, and he was in this class. Like there was like a whole bunch of fucking goons in this class for whatever, just the way the dice fell. And one of them was this dude, Kevin, who was like 19 years old, right? And because he had failed a couple grades.
Okay.
And he was in our senior class, and Dean was like, because you had to go around, right, and say like your name and like how old you were and something, like something special about you. And like, so the dude Kevin was like, I'm Kevin, I'm 19, I'm such and such. And Dean looked at him and was like, oh man, you gonna vote this year?
Dude, that's a good line.
And that dude Kevin was gonna knock his fucking head off.
Yeah, definitely.
And I stood up. I was like, look, man, he's harmless. He's harmless. Leave him alone. Leave him alone. He's harmless.
Ooh, that's good. Wow.
Anyway, back to the movie theater. So we're going into this movie theater. Me, Lamar, Adam, and my wife. This is actually a different time, but I just connect the two stories because they're good. And there was like, this is like during, if you know the area, this is like Emerson Village in its prime. Like it was not a great time to go up there and hang out. And I saw them all hanging in. I was like, fuck. And I was, like if you ever had to hang out in like a sketchy area or like had to walk through a sketchy area and you're just like, God damn it, man, please let me make it through this bitch. All right. And anyway, we walked. I was like, before we went in, I was like, look, just walk to the register, buy your ticket, and go in. Don't get sidetracked. Don't get distracted. So like a couple people were like walking, like just like looking at the floor while they were like walking in, and you just hear this one guy from the side. They walking with their head down, scared to look. And then I was like, man, just keep going. And like, we got in there anyway. We're sitting in there in the theater, and I just told this story recently to somebody, but like during the interview, this guy Craig Mack comes on for like his part, and you just hear this one dude. He's like, God damn, that motherfucker ugly as shit. Like,
dude, so when my buddy and I went to see Shaft. See, the first
if you knew Craig Mack, you would know how funny that shit is. But that dude's face, I mean, rest in peace, of course. But that dude's face was beat up.
There were people like giving us the hairy eyeball, and we just
I've never.
But look, I'm thinking, this is a cultural experience for me because I always thought the
Where did you see it at?
It was up in Delaware, and so it was. I know you know where People's Plaza is in Delaware. Yeah, that theater. So
I've never. You know,
that's that's a pretty mixed area.
There's plenty of times where I've definitely
or something.
been the only guy there, but only white guy there. But it's never really been an issue for me. Any issue that I've ever had has had nothing to do with me being the only white guy there. Yeah. It's just been because there's been an issue. But could have happened to anybody.
It was interesting how much encouragement was given to Samuel L. Jackson. From the audience.
Yeah.
So I always thought something like that was, that's some racist BS, and I was like,
oh no.
Okay.
So that theater experience is not for me. Except that motherfucker's ugly as fuck. That shit was fun.
I was surprised that during the blackening yesterday, it was relatively calm.
Yeah, it's very quiet.
Like Phil showed up late, so he was getting character.
But when we walked up, hey man, You asked me to get you a soda.
You was late even without getting me a soda though. Don't put that on me. You had shit too.
I'm gonna start showing up late. I fucking for Flash was 25 minutes of fucking.
Same with the black one. I looked at my phone, got there one trailer started. The movie started at 1:25. I was like,
I hate to be that guy, but it's just too fucking much.
It's unnecessary.
There were at least there were two other white guys in the theater, although they looked like the two of the villains from the movie.
What do you mean at least? At least there were.
I thought I would be the only one, but it wasn't.
I don't know. That shit doesn't mean anything to me.
They was watching the movie, was like, okay.
These two guys look like it.
I'll tell you, when I went to go see that Fabio Foreign show, it was me and Cody.
Was that Silver Spring?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was just crazy because it was like I mean, I've talked about it here before, but it was a drill show, and first of all, it was amazing how many women were there. But takes all types, I guess. Yeah. What's more sexy than a gangster after all? I guess. I get it.
I've seen Across the Spider-Verse twice. It's probably one of my favorites for the year, I think. I don't like it quite as much as the first one because of some of the characterizations they've changed, but I do like a lot of the movie. And I'm giving it a little bit of leeway because it's not a big secret. It ends in cliffhanger. It's going to lead into Beyond the Spider-Verse next year, which it was publicly talked about a long time before the movie ever came out. So I'm interested to see how the story wraps up, and hopefully they...
Yeah, Joe was pissed about that.
He didn't know?
No, I didn't know either.
Oh, shoot.
So, I didn't know.
I wouldn't care.
I'd heard rumors about it, but I didn't know officially. And then even when we got to the theater, Sarah pointed, I was like, it says part 1. Yeah. I was like, oh, fuck, it is true.
Yeah. Yeah, Sony's talking about it for like around December.
I don't be listening to Sony, man. They got shit to say to me.
So it's good. I don't like how they treated Miguel, but I'll wait to see how it resolves. They do some really good cameos in there.
Who is Miguel?
It's Spider-Man 2099, Miguel O'Hara.
So there's something I saw online because it's the internet, and everyone on the internet wants to get emotional about something. But it was some
Miguel O'Hara.
Yeah, he's Hispanic
or Irish.
I believe he's supposed to be. Well, based on his family heritage in the comics, I think he's supposed to be Hispanic.
No, but I know some O'Hares.
That is true.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe he's mixed.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I'm pretty sure he's mixed descent, but his mom is Hispanic, I believe.
That meant then Dad would be the O'Hare.
Yeah.
That all checks out.
I mean, Miles Morales, his mom is Hispanic and his dad is black. That doesn't really check out. I mean, Morales.
Yeah, that's true.
So I'm not judging. I mean, maybe Poppy took mommy's last name. I ain't judging.
It's a new world out there.
It's wild.
It's a new world out there.
But someone got on the interwebs, and there was some Latinx girl. I say that specifically because she strikes me as the kind of chick who want to be called Latinx. Basically saying Miguel, the whole thing was them being racist towards Miles.
What?
It was like, well, no, because Jessica Drew's there. She's black. Yeah. Spider-Punk is black. Like, chill. Yeah. Like, relax. Like, you're just looking for things to be mad about. So I took to the comments because I like doing that. After I see something wild, go to the comments, and everybody was eating that girl alive. It was like, no, sit down, bitch. So sometimes fun to see people gang up on someone saying something dumb.
And people have no shortage of saying something dumb.
That's why I love the internet.
Good for you.
That
shit wears me the fuck out.
No, it wears me out. But then there are days where I'm like, all right, I got my energy back. Let's go check it out. And then as soon as I see it, I put up a video today of Maynard because during the concert he hip tossed a dude and then went for the rear naked choke. So he put up a video kind of explaining it, and everyone's in the comments. The dude was like, there was no harm there. The guy meant no harm. I was like, you don't know that. I mean, yes, the guy's coming in for a hug, but you don't know that. And it was like, what a coward. What is like, oh gosh, shut the fuck up.
I've seen Tool, A Perfect Circle, and Pussifer all live. Perfect Circle has the best show, followed by A Perfect Circle, followed by Tool. Tool has the worst show of the three. That's my hot take.
Yeah, I believe you.
Yeah, it's like all lasers, and it's just like you like most of the time you can't even see them. It's like it's an awful stage.
That's probably what happened with the dude on the stage. He probably didn't know where the fuck
he's probably like, can I get a look at these motherfuckers? Fucking $175 tickets,
Then he got hip tossed and choked. It was like, oh no.
So Maynard, hip toss from the stage. Like some guy went for. Oh, wow. Okay.
It's black belt jiu-jitsu.
Does he? Okay, I didn't know.
I think he has a school. Actually, I think he just opened a school.
Is it next to the winery?
3 months ago. For about 4 months ago, a friend of mine was on the show. I guess their schools are interconnected.
I saw some dude bring somebody up on stage to like dance and shit with him and like, you know, sing along with him, like some fan and the fan got so excited he just started vomiting all over the stage.
Oh no.
It was so good, man. Like the artist like had to like back up and shit, but the guy was just like, and like he turned around and was like that motherfucker was like, yeah, it was great.
That's why I love the internet.
Yeah, that kind of stuff is good fun.
Wait, that was a Tool show?
No, it was like it was. I think it was during Summer Jam.
Okay,
just happened just recently.
So Spider-Verse, 8 out of 10 for me. Something I'll definitely buy. Saw Rise of the Beast. It was fun.
Dude, I hate that fucking movie too. I do. That shit. Look, it's spoilers. It's been out for a while. The ticket sales have dropped off so dramatically. I imagine you've either seen it or are not going to at this point. It's just what made Bumblebee special was that it got away from the Bay formula, and this just jumps back in with both feet. This is a Bay movie. It establishes the MacGuffin. The MacGuffin either saves the good guys or gives the bad guys the ultimate power. They both have to chase down the MacGuffin, leads to a big battle at the end. Like it's just a rinse and repeat Bayformer movie.
Okay. This felt the most like an extended Transformers episode to me because they're often MacGuffins in the cartoon.
Which one?
I don't know.
Very rarely. The Transformers cartoon was not really based around MacGuffins. The G1 cartoon. I can't speak for some of the other ones.
The MacGuffin. I'm sorry. I count Energon as a MacGuffin.
No, that's not a MacGuffin though, because Energon is a means to the end. It's not the end. Like the MacGuffin is like a magic key or something you had to go search for. They made their own Energon.
Vector Sigma?
They made their no. There are some, but they were rare.
Okay.
You know, like the first season. I don't think have any. I
mean, Optimus's thing in his chest.
Which one? Which thing?
The Matrix.
That's not a MacGuffin. It's not used as a MacGuffin in that story. It's like something you have to hunt down or whatever.
I mean, everybody was fighting for it throughout the 86 movie.
Yeah. No, it has MacGuffins, but they are rare. The fact that you can name 2 out of 4 seasons says something. I'm saying the whole first season lacks it. Right. So like or take like Skyfire, right? That's another like beloved episode. Circles around creating this character, developing who he is, the drama between him and other characters, and where they end up at the end of it. Not a MacGuffin. Okay. Like, Combaticons, like the same thing. It's like the MacGuffin, it can be a good storytelling thing. It's just that in the Bayformers, it's every single one. It's every single one, and they got away from it. And now they've just gone back to it. It's a rinse and repeat with better character designs. And the fact that they had to spend 35 minutes, I counted, explaining who new human characters are because they can't keep a contract with anybody, just to have a Hispanic character that steals cars and not name him Raul. You know what I mean? It's like these motherfuckers can't get. They'd fuck up a blowjob. Like they can't get right. Like everything that like lays out right in front of them, they will sidestep it to get it wrong. Like that fucking Raul character is an easy character that you could have pulled over from G1 if you wanted to, and they just said no. And the reason why they said no is not probably because they were trying to avoid it. They just don't know. Because I don't think these fucking people know shit about this franchise.
No, in most cases, and this was the thing with comic book movies, X-Men. I mean, Bryan Singer, he's a fan, and then we get that first X-Men movie. We were just excited to see X-Men on screen, but the movie fucking sucked. Second one worked out by some luck.
That still holds true now with the Flash.
But then you get to the third one, and then it wasn't Bryan Singer. Can't remember who did it, but it was still the same thing. It's like, they know what they're doing. They're fans, and then you're watching. It's like, I don't think you guys know what you're doing. I don't think you know shit about what this is. You just got a bunch of characters with names, and you're like, make a movie.
Yeah, even in the end of that shit, when it's like just the Transformers fighting, like they really only care about Prime, Primal, and Scourge, and then the other ones you just sort of see doing things in the background, and the things they have to fight are just copy paste.
Yeah, that was
or just copy paste CGI things because they don't invest into the villains that they have in the first place to make those battles mean anything. So they might as well just have them be CGI things, because if Nightbird fights Rhinox, it means just as much as the CGI Spider fights CGI Rhino. It's like all fucking a big nothing. Like, dude, the fact that like that whole ape planet, like the animal planet, they like don't even bother really explaining why they're animals or anything else, and then they just had the surfboard ape there, whatever his name was. I forget what his ape something with to do with ape, but his claim to fame was they had a toy where he like rode a surfboard.
That was the next version of Optimus.
Could be. Whatever it was. They don't bother explaining that. Then they get to Peru. They could have taken this whole thing with those animals being in Peru and like the whole parade thing is like worshiping these like giant beasts but they don't. They don't even bother. So they had to come up with a reason for the humans to be there because, well, it has to base around humans that we had to spend 35 to 45 minutes getting to know, who are all like, you know, they're just not appreciated enough, and they're just not good enough, and their bosses don't acknowledge them the same way because life is just so bloody fucking hard for them. But they're these secret talented folks that can really get the job done, and you really wouldn't need them when having two giant fucking robot monsters fight a whole bunch of giant robot heroes. Except the only way to do it, Phil, is they have this vent, and they need a person that's smaller than, and like it's just like it's so fucking stupid. Fuck that fucking movie. Fuck those fucking movies. Fuck Bay. Fuck this fucking guy. Fuck it all. It's all fucking dumb. I've had it with dumb shit. I'm watching too much dumb shit this year. I saw fucking Tetris and I saw fucking Mario Brothers, and that's it. Everything else has been or when did Wakanda? No, Wakanda was last year.
That was last year.
Yeah, that's it. That's it for me.
Well, that's the thing too. It's like your entertainment diet. It's like there's so much shit out there that it's like you start to realize like, yo, I'm watching a lot of dog shit. I'm eating a lot of junk food.
Yeah.
You know, like watching Killer Kites. That's fun. That's like having a bag with the tea. Like that's like having a bag of Skittles. It's like, okay, it's fine once in a while. But yeah, there's a lot of bullshit out there that's just like, ugh, here we go.
But you enjoyed it, Phil.
Yeah, it was fine.
Good.
So what's your idea of the thing that's coming supposedly next year, the full CG movie where it's all in Cybertron?
So I'll have to see. It depends. Like, I think there's a good story about Optimus and Megatron in the past. I think they could do it.
Be about their friendship and their breakup or whatever.
But I don't really like. I'm down for it. I think it has the most potential to be good, but I also have no faith. Yeah. I have no faith.
Okay, that was my main question. Do you have any faith?
Zero
in the concept
faith
at all. Okay.
But like what I prefer from all the ones that I remember there's been multiple different iterations of those characters knowing each other since before the war. I prefer the IDW take where Prime was kind of looked up to Megatron as a mentor almost.
So it's post Dreamwave. That was the beginning of IDW, right?
Post Dreamwave. Yeah, post Dreamwave for sure. I wouldn't say it was the beginning of IDW, but it was like around the halfway point where they really like, I think, sent it home. Where like Megatron was like he was in the gladiatorial pits, right? And the reason why he was there is because basically he renounced the system, which was you are what your alt mode is.
Yeah, because he was a miner before that, right?
Correct. And he renounced that, so he ended up doing this gladiatorial thing, and then he started speaking his mind and realized that he was getting like these followers, and he was becoming a bit of a leader. So he like tried to lead this revolution against Cybertron, the kind of systemic system of Cybertron, to be free. And in that, he won over Prime, who was like a Ryan Pax or whatever, who was
he was a librarian.
He was a librarian, and he looked up to him and thought like, man, this is the way for autonomy and such and such. Well, then Megatron like got arrested from being in this bar, and some fight broke out that had nothing to do with him. It's been a while. My memory's a little sketchy on it, but it was him and Impactor who were there. and he ended up getting locked up and put away. And when he was there, they beat the shit out of him, like they tortured him. And then when he came out of that, that's when he became militant about his revolution. And that's when he lost Prime, because Prime was like, well, now you're becoming a monster just to achieve this goal. I want to achieve the same goal as you. I'm just not willing to do it the same way. And then their philosophies were against one another, and they split, and Optimus fought for autonomy and became the Autobots, and Megatron's slogan became "We are being deceived," and they became Decepticons. Gotcha. And like that was like the beginning, and it was like a cool,
that's a cool backstory.
Take on it all.
I know I've read snippets. I've never read the whole series,
which I don't know if I will. That's not to say that this. I'm sure this will be different. It's not to say that it won't be cool.
Yeah. It's a lot to cram into one movie.
I do wonder if, like, sometimes when you have filet, if you go and have flank steak, if you can ever appreciate it, even if it's really well cooked flank steak.
Yeah.
I just wonder sometimes.
I think also with stuff like this, a lot of times the production companies, they're just looking at, just put something out. They're not looking at the heart and the soul of something that's going to get people. And I think sometimes it might even be like they're worried, like maybe it's going to go over the heads of, whoever they're trying to draw in, because you get a lot of, when we went to see the first Transformers, I remember walking out of there just like disappointed, but the group I was with, they were fucking excited. And then I look at the group and I was like, y'all are just a bunch of, goofballs that like to blow up shit. So,
yeah, well, I think it's also like, I think sometimes it's a number of like, what makes this marketable? How can we get this? How can we roll this out? Like, what looks good on a bag of chips? Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, it's that sort of stuff that they take into, and then it's also like, I think sometimes it's budget on their end where they're like, look, like these things rely on fucking CGI, so we have to spend, we have I'm using numbers arbitrarily, but we have $100 million budget. We have to spend $60 million on effects to give people what they expect when they walk into a movie like this. That means we have $40 million for everything else. Of that, what writer can we afford?
Yeah, that's true.
You're not going to afford Goyer with that money. So you had to get, just the guy that lives down the street. Who writes, to his pen pal, and I think that it doesn't take much with this shit. Like, especially if like you've seen the other films, like I would guarantee that the writer of this movie is a student of those Bay movies. Like that's what he knows of Transformers. He knows those fucking Bay movies inside and out, would be my guess. Cause it just does the same fucking thing.
But I think as long as the Bay movies they've been out for a while now, like collectively. So I think that is the norm now. Just like now with comic book fans, their comic books is the movies. They don't know shit about the
Blue
books.
Beetle looks like it's following a direct comic book movie formula.
Yeah.
I think that like if you look at like the Bay movie shit, like I think that this movie is simpler and more straightforward and more cohesive than 4 and 5, which I think are just told poorly.
Yeah, like the Marky Mark ones.
Yes.
Those are the worst ones to me.
Yeah, they are the worst ones.
They're terrible.
Followed closely by Revenge of the Fallen. Yeah. But the third one, I think, actually has the complexity and cohesiveness of what those movies are trying to do. I think the third one actually works. It's not my bag, but I think it works.
The first and third one I thought were okay. And then this one I think is okay.
All right, well let's put them in order. So where would you 86 aside, of course.
You mean as a
best
film
to worst,
or just our
best to worst. Best to worst, in your opinion.
Dark of the Moon will probably be my favorite.
Yeah, I think Dark of the Moon is probably my number one.
The Transformer story.
Yeah, me too. And the plot of the movie relies on inner personal relationships of those Transformers. Yeah. Number 2,
probably the first one, the original.
So
it's just about a boy in his car.
I'm probably going to give it to the first one. I'm probably going to give it to the first one also. Number 3.
Probably this new one.
I'm going to give it to Bumblebee.
Okay.
I think it's just a more straightforward story. I think it's a good story. Yeah. It's not my favorite type of Transformers story, but I think it's a well-told story. So I'll give it to Bumblebee. Number 4.
That'd be Bumblebee for me.
I'll give it to Rise of the Beast.
Okay.
Number 5.
After that, they're all bad. I don't know.
I'm going.
I'll say the Dinobots one just for the sake of the Dinobots.
So I'm going to go Revenge of the Fallen.
Okay.
And then I'll go Dinobots, and then I'll go Last Night.
Yeah, last night's the worst.
It's the worst. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. What else you got, Phil?
I saw
I
The
didn't know
Flash.
there were that
We all-
many.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so we saw The Flash. And it was not for me. I gave it 4 out of 10. The only thing redeemable in that movie really for me is Keaton.
See, my favorite bit is him having to sentence his mother to death.
So
That's my favorite moment.
That's the most poignant moment in the movie, in the grocery store.
Yeah.
At the end, I was like, okay, that's the most valid acting I saw from Miller the entire
I agree.
the entire thing.
I agree.
The double Miller thing at the beginning with Ezra and Ezra, I was like, this is garbage.
Yeah, I didn't like it either.
And yeah, it was terrible.
But yeah, I liked all the kind of Easter egg appearance stuff, but
That movie felt like a contractual obligation to me rather than a film.
it also felt, I mean, I said this a bit on last week's show, but I feel like it felt like it was trying to kick the Snyderverse like a bit, like it was
So between the two jokes at the end, the one at the very end of the film,
Yeah.
I don't know, we could talk in spoilers
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
But Clooney at the end.
Yeah.
And then the post-credit scene with Momoa in face down in filth, I was like, that felt like a double fuck you to the audience. Momoa especially, because that felt like a metaphor for the entirety of this franchise.
Yeah.
Through this, I was like, oh, well, I guess that's it. I expected that to be a meme everywhere.
Yeah.
Momoa down in a face full of filth. That's the end of this. The Snyderverse, whatever you want to call it. I know
Yeah.
Snyder hasn't technically been a part of it,
Right.
but it's the stuff he kicked off. I was
Yeah.
like, wow, this is horrible.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was hoping for some kind of transition. So when we walked out of there, the entire film felt pointless because you're not getting anything to either kick off something or put a finale cap on this. You don't know.
Yeah.
Like,
And
it's
I
like,
think
what's the- what was
I
the
think
point
it
of
leaned
this?
too hard on the Keaton.
Yeah, it definitely did. Yeah, like that was cool and stuff, but
Yeah.
and it didn't give other things their due. Like I felt sorry for the lady playing Supergirl because I've heard she's cool and other stuff, but you don't see that here. She gets
Yeah.
one good dialogue scene on top of the roof.
Yeah.
when she's kind of
Somebody said her superpower is that her hair is always wet.
and the action scene when she breaks out was cool, but that's not really her acting. That's CG.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I
would love to see her do more.
I do like the way that these DC movies, including this one and including Black Adam, do their action.
Yes.
There's something about it that seems more real to me.
Yeah.
Like
so the slowdown at the beginning of Black Adam when he breaks out, that was probably the best scene in the movie.
where he fucks up the military
where
shit.
he's-
It's
that fight scene, and then when Supergirl breaks out in this
And does her thing
does
there.
her thing to save everybody. I was like, that was very well done.
it's the fact that they show it all.
Yes.
That's what makes it. That's what gives it what it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Marvel will cut. Like you'll see a cut of Captain America punching. The camera cuts, shows the fallout of that person.
Mm-hmm.
Cuts back to Captain America catching the shit, whatever. Whereas like the DC shit, you see one character and another character, and you see the character hit that character, and then the character hit a fucking wall, and then I mean, it's all
Marvel
done in
has changed.
scene.
At the beginning, they were doing that more. Like when they did the Incredible Hulk movie with Edward Norton, the Hulk fight between him and the Abomination. Yes, the CG isn't what we have now.
Right.
But that fight was legit.
But that
At
was
the
also not Disney.
That was also not Disney.
Yeah.
But
it's-
even in the first Avengers fight.
That wasn't Disney. They owned them by then, but they didn't make that
So,
movie. Iron Man was the first Marvel movie made under the Disney banner.
okay.
but Avengers was after that.
Well, so they bought, like, Avengers was made, but Disney had bought them as that was, so they didn't make that movie.
Oh, I didn't know that.
No. Because, at the beginning, because, like, we had this discussion before about it.
yeah, that's right. Okay.
And, it's very clear at the beginning. It says Paramount, I think it is still,
Yeah.
For Iron Man or
for Avengers.
really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Because they
Disney
bought it.
them. He's right.
Yeah.
Disney bought Iron Man 3 was the first under Disney's name.
Oh, Iron Man 3.
Yeah,
I thought you said
right-
Iron Man.
Right after Disney.
Wow. Yeah, I wasn't aware of that.
But like, and then you start noticing. Well, at least I started noticing because I went back and watched the Phase 1 films and noticed like you weren't getting those like slow motion, like I guess action, or not action, but like kind of splash scenes or whatever. But then you start seeing a lot of them moving from Age of Ultron and so forth. Every movie had like this moment where it was like the camera pans and it's like slow motion
Around everybody.
Yeah,
I remember it in Age of Ultron specifically. It felt like a splash page.
Yeah. And but before that, the action was very much like there's a fight. You saw the detail. It went through with it. Where it was like once Disney got a hold of it, and that's not to say those movies weren't good, but it's gotten worse and worse as we moved on.
Yeah, I just, there's something, I don't know what it is, but there's something in that DC action that I feel like when those characters hit other characters, specifically human characters, it feels more scary.
Yeah,
like when Wonder Woman in the Snyder Cut, which I just watched yesterday, when
in the bank sequence,
in that bank sequence, when she's like kicking a person and you see them fly against the wall and hit their head on the wall, and you see all of her body in frame and all of his body in frame, and there's no cuts. There's something about it. It's like, it seems scary. It seems like there's a fucking monster on the loose. Like, even though you know she's the good guy.
Yeah, she's like half a god. So.
Yeah.
And so Flash was, I don't know. I probably never needed to watch it again. Keaton was cool to see. I thought it was weird that his version of Batman would automatically know like quantum theory because it didn't. I love him as Batman, but his version of Batman, that wasn't what he was about in the Burton films at all. So just to have his version of Batman automatically understand what Barry's talking about was a bit of a head scratcher to me. That almost took me out of the movie. I was like, I know, but in general, Batman knows everything.
Right.
His version of Batman, he's a crime fighter in a dingy Gotham City. He doesn't know, like, he's not a super scientist, like, naturally. Like, that would have made more sense for the Affleck Batman for me.
Yeah, for sure.
Because Batman's already been in a world with gods.
Yeah.
And I mean,
and I think, but I also, this Keaton Batman, to be fair, we only see him at the beginning of his career.
Yeah, exactly.
So theoretically, he could have, become something greater.
And I thought, even before any of the time stuff, like the costumes at the very beginning, like Affleck's new costume looked so much like garbage to me. I hated it.
I didn't mind it. It didn't bother me. I didn't love it. Yeah. I didn't love it. So he actually irritated me a bit as Batman when him and Diana were talking. I was like,
that's because of the lasso.
I was like, I know. But I mean, even the whole conversation, it just felt Justice-y to me.
Yeah, it did a little bit. Yeah. I thought they were hamming it up a little bit much with the lasso, like they did with Aquaman. But
and I don't care for that. I don't need to ham it up.
And of course, everybody harps on the CG for this movie, and I don't like it either. But the babies at the beginning were terrible.
They were terrible. However, he did come out about the time travel stuff.
Okay.
And he was like, that's an intentional choice. It's supposed to feel like it's not part of reality, like you're in this other place.
I thought some of the.
But I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, we were talking about that.
I assumed it. It just seemed like you're not quite in the real world, and that's why things don't look quite real.
Okay.
But the babies, there was no excuse for that. It's particularly that one that like smiles coming out of the microwave. Like that one was like so it's hard to explain. But
I saw, like, I've been seeing some things about that because I guess someone played it back in reverse. They were saying, no, they're throwing babies in microwaves. It was like, yo, what the fuck is going on with this movie? But then I was more intrigued, like, maybe I need to go see it now. Like, not that I want to see babies thrown in microwaves, but I need to get to the bottom. And someone's like, no, they're playing it in reverse. I was like, oh. Well,
there was so much, like, even that whole, to be honest, like that whole fight sequence with Batman in the opening, like in the city, like with, it doesn't have any bearing on the film.
Well, there's a whole bunch of Easter eggs in there that have no bearing on the film.
But I mean, that's not an Easter egg is one thing. Like you're talking about like a 10, 15 minute sequence.
Yeah, at the beginning when Barry's having to clean up his mess.
But it doesn't move the movie forward in any way. Like I said last week, like the tooth thing to me is like the most obvious example. The amount of time that they spend on why his tooth fell out, super gluing his tooth into his mouth just for the tooth to fall out of the, like the amount of time just for a gag. And it does, and it's not that funny.
No.
I don't know. Fuck that guy too.
There was a lot of
and he's doing Batman now.
Well, and look, I don't know. I don't think the Flash as a problem is any one person's. I don't think it's necessarily Miller's fault all the way. I don't think it's necessarily Machadi's fault all the way. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of that is a lot of executive pressure.
Yeah, probably
to get it out the door. And I'm curious because they shut down Batgirl and canceled this. Is like, why did you even put this out? It's like, you shut down one, why not this? And Batgirl...
I think Keaton. I think they thought that Keaton was going to put asses in seats.
I guess.
What's going on with Aquaman 2? Is that still a thing?
So I have something on... I just listened to, who Michael Rosenbaum is, the guy who played Lex Luthor in Smallville.
Yes.
He has a long-standing podcast called Inside of You. Uh-huh. And he I mean...
Love it.
But he's a decent interviewer. Uh-huh. And he, of course, because of how long he's been in the industry and stuff, he gets tons of famous people. Uh-huh. And he and James Gunn have been long-standing friends. I didn't know they worked together on stuff years ago. Uh-huh. But so he had just had James Gunn on his episode the Monday before Flash came out. Uh-huh. And it was, if you want to listen to it, it's a really good conversation. But this is the first anybody's ever heard about what Blue Beetle and Aquaman, or Blue Beetle at least, is, because the Blue Beetle is the next movie coming. And I think the quote is, Blue Beetle is supposed to be the first DCU character in his DCU, and Superman is supposed to be the first full movie. So the only thing is, I think James Gunn is so bogged down.
I don't understand.
Yeah, exactly. So
how is Superman going to be the first movie if Blue Beetle is the first?
Because Blue Beetle originally was supposed to be an HBO release, and I think Gunn has probably forgotten that because he's got so much stuff going on. Blue Beetle's coming out in theaters now.
Oh, so you think James Gunn doesn't?
Yeah, so I'm sure he's got so much going on, and he's writing Superman and directing it himself.
Yeah.
So Blue Beetle is technically coming out first. Nothing about Aquaman. So at least that's the only definitive thing I've heard from anyone. And it's from him himself. So I was like, all right, so...
It's just weird that it's going to come out and then Aquaman is going to come out. Like, the timing of it all seems weird. Unless they establish that the Aquaman thing is before the Flash thing, or...
Yeah, I don't know how they're going to do that.
I mean, even if they do somehow kind of right that ship, it's like... Like, why at this point?
Yeah.
Who fucking cares?
Just start over. I mean, I feel like that's what they're trying to do, but it seems like at the end of Flash, they're just trying to leave the Snyderverse in that space, which is like, it's fucking gross.
Honestly,
it's gross.
They could just do that. Just don't even put anything else on about it. Just move on.
But I mean, Aquaman's coming. I mean, because Jason Momoa puts asses in seats.
Well, no, I get that, but I mean, honestly, it's like, if you're trying to move on, just move on.
And a while back, Affleck was on the set of Aquaman too, because Momoa posted about it, even though he found out he wasn't supposed to. He's like, "Oh, Affleck's here," so everybody was alluding to the fact that the Batfleck is supposed to show up in Aquaman 2 at some point, even if it's just as Wayne.
And that wouldn't make any sense unless it's before Flashpoint. Yeah.
So that's my guess, is this happens before Flashpoint.
It sounds like maybe they just shouldn't do it.
Just like the Aquaman came out before Shazam,
and
but the stories are supposed to be the other way.
Yeah. They switched. It was obviously switched the release.
Yeah.
Stop trying to be fancy for the sake of being fancy. Just fucking put movies out fucking straightforward. I hate them. Fuck
but
them.
you liked Aquaman, right? Or no?
Yeah. I like Aquaman. I hate the goofiness that they like, because he's
but by the end, when he's in the full like orange. The orange scale suit, I thought he was pretty legit. I didn't really like him. I don't really like Momoa as Aquaman until that point.
I don't really like him as Aquaman, period.
Okay.
But I still think that movie's pretty good.
Yeah, I like that movie a lot. So
yeah.
I did not.
I just wish he wasn't like, "Oh, we drink my piss, bro. If you want to drink my piss." Yeah. Fucking cool, right? Just a couple bros in the desert taking a leak, right? Right, guys?
I fell asleep for an hour and then woke up, and it was still 2 hours left of that movie.
They should have cast Ocean Master as Aquaman.
It's true.
Yeah.
And dude, Momoa, why is he not cast as Lobo? It's
well, so he's supposed to be Lobo in Gunn's universe.
Is he?
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Which is why they need to end him as Aquaman, which is what I thought they were going to do before I realized they still had Aquaman 2 coming. Yeah. It was like,
I wonder if they're going to do some multiversal thing at the end of Aquaman 2 to switch everybody.
Yeah. Maybe. I don't know.
Because you remember, even in Endgame, even after Endgame, they had Parker's movie where they were still talking about Endgame. You had some, and in some of the shows they alluded to stuff that happened back in Endgame that changed things.
Yeah.
So. I don't know. That's it. That's it.
Yeah, all right. Let me.
Fuck those guys.
I've done a lot recently, but so my kids were at the beach all last week, which was cool because it got like my wife and I spent pretty much a whole week together.
That's cool.
Yeah, we had a little staycation, which I did talk about last week, but like it continued. So we recorded Nerd Rage on Wednesday. So Thursday, my wife and I hung out. I started, I went down this weird path. Anyway, I ended up in this weird space, and I don't want to spend too much time on it. But I got to thinking, how many normal motherfuckers do I know?
Like, not in any type of collecting community.
So not about their collecting, not about their interests. Just like you look at a person like Dante, right? I love Dante to death. But when I look at Dante, I know not every light bulb is on.
Come on.
I know this about him.
I know he said some freaky shit on the shows we do together.
So I got to thinking to myself, like, how many people do I know and like, just because all your light bulbs are on and wired properly, that's the other part of it. doesn't mean that I'm going to like you.
Mm-hmm.
I could not like you. But it's like, oh, yeah, well, at least somebody, I know everybody's home in that house.
Well, just as a baseline, do you consider all your light bulbs to be on?
Yes.
Okay. And
yes.
wired properly?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm without issue.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't mean that I don't have abnormal interests and things of that. Because it's not about normalcy in that sense. It has more to do with like complete. I've been debating about how to verbalize this.
Yeah. That's why I asked.
Because normal isn't quite the right word. But I think it has to do with complete self-awareness of yourself and also where yourself fits into the world around you.
Yeah.
And I don't think most people do.
Yeah, I don't think they do.
and anyway, it was an interesting discussion. Then my wife and I started going down like a checklist.
Oh no!
Like, are the lights on, or are all the lights on, or are all the lights not on? And we just went down a list of people and I just rang them off. And what's funny is my wife and I were there was like one or two that we weren't on the same page with. We named everything else the same. To include
people you know or close with.
Yeah, and to include a couple that we know, like a male and a female couple that were a married couple that we're friends with, where we're friends with the wife because we're friends with the husband, but we both agree the husband's lights ain't on and the wife's lights are on.
Okay.
You know, and we're not, and we love the husband, and we're actually not crazy about the wife, but our lights are on. You know, but anyway, it was an interesting discussion. So that was Thursday. Friday, well, we went out. We really just were running out of. So Thursday night,
Thursday night you went out drinking after the Flash. So where'd you guys go?
Yeah, so we went and saw the Flash, and we came back. We walked. Joe was supposed to go with us. He ended up backing out, which I was a little heartbroken over. I thought we were going to have some fun, but we went up to just Main Street here. Just walked around, hit the bars. Which we've never done. We've lived here.
I didn't know there were bars on your main street.
Yep. We've lived here for 13 years now. Yeah. Never hit the bars.
Anything good?
So we decided to have a crab dip contest.
No. All right.
And we had crab dip from every place that sold it. And we drank wine, but then I also was drinking some orange crushes. If they had a crush bar, and I was drinking orange crushes and comparing the crushes, right?
So I heard something that Orange Crush is not originally from Maryland. It's from somewhere else.
Like so that's not my maybe because it's all like
Virginia Beach area.
Because I'm
where that originated.
Maybe
for me I've always known it as like a Maryland thing.
I see a lot of Orange Crush products with crabs on it as like their logo.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe it's one of those things where everybody says it was mine.
Yeah, so
there's just like everybody you meet, their aunt knows the proper way to fucking pick a crab, and you have been doing it wrong your whole life. You know, like doesn't matter who it is, their aunt has the best fucking way to pick a crab.
Crab dip, who was the best?
So it's tricky. Mm-hmm. So there was two places that had it. This place called Vintage and this place called the Derby. The Derby's where
the Derby I've seen that I know down your street.
So the Derby is where Jana works.
Right, with the ice cream, yeah.
So no, well, she does that too.
Oh, okay.
She has
both.
Multitasks. She's a hostess, a food runner, a busser, and
she's a hostess now too.
Yeah, she's always been. Always been.
I didn't know she
hostess is her least favorite.
I mean, it's probably the most boring.
And I think she fucked it up once, and like because like it's tricky, right? Like these people. I mean, it's not tricky, right? It's a job for fucking 14-year-olds, but it's these people come in, they want to sit at this table, but the rules of the restaurant are this table is supposed to be a party of 5 or more or whatever, and it's 2 people. So what do you tell them? No, you can't sit there.
Yeah, you don't want to turn away customers.
So she got herself in a pickle one night as a result of all this. Gotcha. So anyway, so the first place crab dip, the crab dip was better, but there wasn't as much of it. It was more expensive, and the vessel to transport the crab dip from bowl to mouth was trash. It was like stale old bread, right? So the next place, crab dip, not as good, runny as fuck, bigger portion, cheaper, better vessel. I would go with that one over the other one every day.
The cheaper, runnier one with just more cheese and less crab?
More cream cheese.
Okay. Yeah, that's cream cheese is the ultimate filler, I guess.
Right.
How did they compare to your homemade one that Laura does, that you guys do? Because I've had your guys', it's pretty damn good.
Hold on 1 second. Laura's texting me. No. Which one was pretty? All right. So my crab dip,
your guys' homemade. I mean, homemade is generally the best or whatever, but
my crab dip, or I should say my crab dip.
Laura's
crab dip is the second best crab dip I've ever had in my life.
Where's the best?
Dutch's.
Oh, see, I've never been to Dutch's Daughter. So.
Dutch's has the best crab dip I've ever had in my motherfucking life.
Wow. Okay. And why is that? Just
it's
all
unique.
around.
It tastes unique, and the bread that they give you is like a good like a seasoned bread of theirs too.
Is it crusty like hard bread, or is it soft and crusty?
It's crusty.
Okay,
but it's not. But it's like the crust is crunchy and the bread is still soft-ish.
Okay.
But anyway, long story short, my wife's is the second best, and I went to another place recently, and theirs was the third best, which was downtown Hooch and Banter or something like that. It's downtown. Anyway, so we judged those, had some orange crushes, had some whatever. I lost my bank card somewhere.
Oh, damn.
And
right?
Yeah, I mean,
no stolen identity going on?
No, so far so good.
Okay.
And then what else? Oh, and then actually, so all right, so then Friday, my wife and I went out shopping a little bit, and then we went to Dutch's. Has like some apps and snacks, as we like to say, don't they?
Some crab dip
in the suburban world, apps and snacks. and
not how I function, but I get you.
Someday I gotta make it because everybody raves about Dutch's Daughter. I've still never.
It's good. It's pricey, but it's good.
Yeah. Okay. Is it reservation only?
It's not reservation only, but it would behoove you to get a reservation.
Okay.
Unless you want to sit at the bar, you can sit at the bar.
Is there a dress code?
Not in the dungeon. Which is like, yeah, so they have like their proper, I don't think they have a dress code at all, but you'll feel uncomfortable if you dress like a slouch in their regular restaurant.
Gotcha.
But you can go to the dungeon, which is like in the basement, and it has like
that's where the plebes like me go.
Well, so we went to the dungeon because there's a bar we could just, without reservations, get absence snacks. Absence snacks.
Okay. I'll have to go there sometime.
So we had some absence snacks and along with a bottle, and it was good. Then we left, and my wife and I came home and had a great conversation, just her and I. Right. I will say this, like without kids, I realize that my wife and I can definitely still communicate, if not better. And we still can have a good time, like just the two of us. But like it started off with me saying, okay, you get to take everyone at your workforce and punch one in the face as hard as you can. Who do you punch? You know, and then you know, and then she returned, you know, and then so we did that, and then I switched it to okay, now I'm gonna say two things that are true and one thing that is not, and you have to pick which one is the untrue thing.
Just because she knows you so well.
Yeah, we both know each other so well, so we came up with one. And actually, she got me a bunch of times.
Really?
Yeah. I only got her.
Typical male doesn't understand the wife.
But I got her a couple times as well. But she got me a fair bit. So we did that, and then Saturday picked the kids up. And we actually had a blast fucking Saturday. We went to her work party. She had like a work party cookout something.
Now, in the past, you've mentioned multiple times of work events you've gone to her events, and you've kind of said off-color things. And
put my foot in my mouth. So this time I think I did all right.
Sailing?
I think I did all right this time. But my baby...
Oh, the kids went.
Yeah, okay, so they had a pool there and shit.
Nice.
And this guy is obviously making money, you know. So more power to him. But my baby jumps in their pool like almost immediately, like gets out of her clothes into her suit, with a little life vest on, and in the pool. And she's like, "Hey guys," to us, and like we look over at her, and she looks up at us, and she goes, "I think these people are rich."
If your child your littlest doesn't become a comedian, it'll be like, she's either going to be a comedian or some kind of host or something.
And then I started laughing, then she started laughing, like loud, like a loud cackling, like, they're rich! They're rich!
I can only
So then we ate there, hung out, drank, left there, went to, then came back to the house, chilled out for a while, and then went back. I had a buddy of mine, God bless him, but like he's I don't know, he's falling apart. He's got like dementia.
No, damn.
Not looking good. So they had like a benefit bingo game for him at this place, and like we went to the bingo game, like, and I bought everybody, like my whole family, like all the cards and shit, and like, you know, and I played bingo with my kids and shit, and they loved it. You know, they were
cool.
They loved it. Hold on one second. Just say it's not a podcast.
This is live, people.
Say it's
Bobby's live reply on his phone.
So anyway, I hope that doesn't get her in trouble. And but anyway. So then we went. What else? Friday night went to the benefit thing. Played bingo. I won something. I won like some bracelets or something, but I gave it to the kids. And then we came back Saturday. Or that was Saturday. So then Sunday was Father's Day. Woke up. We watched Batman vs Superman Uncut. Mm-hmm. And then had lunch. My wife made homemade pretzels with homemade crab dip on top.
Oh, okay.
And then we watched. Oh, then we came down and did a drill show for Bobby Boogie Bop. And then we went and had watched the Snyder Cut. Ordered pizza. It was great, fucking great.
So is crab dip your favorite food of all time?
Hell no, pizza.
Okay,
Pizza is my favorite food. Okay. And then let's see. Okay, so then other things that I watched, Flash, obviously, and then I started watching. Was it you that was telling me about the Jared documentary?
No,
Jared.
Somebody was telling me about the Subway Jared. documentary.
Jared Fogel. Oh wow. What's that on?
I don't know. I think Amazon maybe or Hulu.
I might have to look that up.
It's on Max.
Okay.
Oh, is
okay.
it?
I have it on my list.
That one. I want to see that.
I'm watching it. I'm on episode 2. I'm not feeling it. No, like it feels very made for TV. It feels very like it. I'm almost halfway because you can even tell like where the commercials are supposed to be. And when they come back to the show, I'm almost expecting like a person over top saying, "Of course, it was just the sandwiches at first, but then Jared developed a taste for something else." Like I'm almost like
that's horrible. But yeah, I get the vibe, dude.
I think though. It's probably made that way though, because I guess with Max, like kind of combining all those fucking networks now, a lot of them have commercial content. And also, even when I signed up for it, because the person who I was using their password through, they got a little fucking snotty with me. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and remove myself and just do it myself.
Right.
And then I'm looking at the package. I was like, let me get the cheap one, and it has commercials, and so. They probably have it set that way because they know they have commercials.
Oh, maybe. Content. But it doesn't, it feels very like even like they come back and like reiterate shit and recap and like, it's just like, and like, I don't know, like so this guy, Jared's a creep, right? He's a creep.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's widely known, yeah.
But this woman that like catches him, like, it seems like she's like going out of her way to like set him up on some shit.
Wow.
And don't get me wrong. Doesn't excuse
but
him. However, I'm just like, man, like, I wonder how much trouble this guy gets in. And when I say trouble, I don't mean caught, but just involvement in any of this shit had he just never got on the phone with this girl.
Yeah.
Not to say it's her fault. But like she's like leading him down this like path. And like I think sometimes he's actually saying things to turn her on. Because he thinks it's like part of it. Like but he's a creep. He's a creep. And some of the shit he says, I mean, like, dude, like, because that's the thing, right? Like, I always hear I know somebody, and I won't get too into this, but I know somebody that supposedly got hit with some pedophilia charges, right? And it was exchanging child pornography, right? Was the charge.
Yeah.
And that exchange, I think, was he sent it to one other person. Mm-hmm. And everybody that knew, and creepy, sure. Yeah. All this, sure. But everybody that knew this guy was like, oh my God, like I didn't know that Satan himself was, my neighbor or my friend or whatever. And I was like, we just have to hear the story. Because if this is a 17-year-old girl, it makes him a creep. Mm-hmm. And if it's a 9-year-old girl, it makes him a monster.
Yeah.
So before we decide he's a monster and not a creep, because there is a difference.
There is, yeah.
We have to hear, you know what I mean? And I like, in some of that shit, I just try to, you and I both have a mutual friend who fucking ended up being in a very tragic place due to being on a sex offender list that was very innocent in its nature, but like,
I mean, that's a life-changing, if you
dude's not here anymore.
Get hit with that,
dude's not here anymore.
Yeah.
Because long story short, he used to go on like Bear Share. One of
shit
those.
Like that.
And he would type in blowjob. And he did it so frequently, Phil, that there would only be like 3 or 4 that would be undownloaded. Right. So one of them said like, underage, barely legal, whatever, one of those things.
Barely legal things that.
So he clicked it, and he said, I'd clicked many others, and it's some 40-year-old chick in pigtails,
Exactly. So what usually.
Then he put them on shuffle. He would wait for him to download, check his MySpace, check his email, etc. Come back, put them on shuffle, crank one out, and start his day. Right. Well, the police ended up coming in his house and looking for something. He was actually selling cocaine at the time. And they said, when he told the story, he was like, I'm sure they were there for the coke, Mm-hmm. And the cops asked me, do you know why we're here? And of course I said no. And turns out I did not know why they were here. They were there for the computer. And the computer had this file on it that now he has been a part of.
Some
and people share it from, it's like, that's how Bear Share works. It works off of your computer. So you're sharing it. Even if it wasn't your intention to send it to someone, because someone is now downloading it off your computer, you're sharing this.
So
stuff.
Technically, that's a sharing file. Yeah.
So he gets found guilty, gets put on the sex offender list. At the time, it's for 7 years. Mm-hmm. So he's not an idiot by any stretch of the imagination. He ends up getting all sorts of certifications and everything for like physical fitness and blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. He was a physical dude anyway. He's going to clean up his life, et cetera, et cetera. That's how he's rolling. So he does all that, gets out, gets all his certs, waiting for the fucking clock to tick-tock its way to freedom. Obama extends it for another 7 years. And now he can't see the light. Now he's trying to go on interviews. He's getting walked out by security once they get to a certain point in the interview. And, without getting too much into the other details, he's no longer on this planet.
Yeah.
And that shit, man, is like all that stuff. Like, and it's just not just this, right? It's everything. It's, discussions that we have here that involve race or, culture or foreign countries and, all that stuff. It's like everything has nuance to it. And like, I joke about shit and say things sort of broadly and generally for the sake of a joke or whatever. But don't think for a minute that I don't understand that all this shit is complicated and all of it has tons of nuance and perspective, So, yeah. Anyway, I don't know how we got there, but
Jared's a creep.
Jared is a creep.
Did either of you you watched the NXIVM, the original season?
NXIVM.
The one that had Chloe.
Oh, I watched the first season.
Okay, my question was, did you ever go back and watch the second? Because they finally put the second season out.
No, I wasn't really crazy about the first season.
I thought the first season was pretty decent.
I turned it on and I just couldn't.
It was long.
Yeah, it was long.
Anyway, let's see if there's any. I don't think there's anything else. We're gonna have a little cookout after this.
Yeah.
More apps and snacks.
Just feel like they're kind of the same.
Yeah, but they rhyme, Dante. So just go bloody with it. You know what I mean? So let's go into some of these notes. Some of them we might have to stop so that I can watch it because it's been a busy day for me. I was supposed to be at a doctor's appointment today.
Sorry, dude.
At 10:30.
I let Bobby down.
No. I mean, it has nothing to do with you. So I'm signed up for this like pre-cancer screening, right?
Really?
I got offered a deal through some people I know, and it's a very expensive thing, and I can do it for $300. And they do like your throat, they do your abdomen, pelvis, and balls, right? And I had an appointment today for 10:30, but I looked outside and I was like, oh shit, my wife's car is in the shop and she took my car to work. So how am I going to get there? And I was like, well, Joe's at work. Chris is busy. He already said that for today. I guess I'll see if Phil can do it. Phil had a car situation also. So I was like, fuck. So I called and I was able to reschedule. So I'm going Wednesday. But all right. So we already talked about or did we not talk about it? That James Gunn said that Andy Muschietti is doing the Batman Brave and the Bold?
Yeah, that just got announced. So he's the guy who did The Flash, and we already talked about The Flash. But I'd forgotten that Muschietti actually did the It movies recently. And I like those, the modern versions of the It.
I think they're fine.
Part 1, Part 2. I thought they were both good. So
I don't love either one of them.
Which is why it leads me to think that his role in The Flash was probably kind of truncated or controlled by Warner execs more than anything else. He may not have had I don't know how much he actually had to do with the
direction. But it might be a writer thing.
Yeah, that's true as well.
It may have nothing to do with the directorial choices. I don't know. This I haven't seen, so I'm going to go through that. I got to watch. The other thing that before I can watch anything is this: the man fakes his own death so he can film himself arriving at his funeral by helicopter.
I just put that because it was all over the news for a bit. I was like, oh, that's hilarious. I'll just put it in the notes.
Yeah, like what lesson was he trying to teach them?
I don't know. I don't know
to be grateful for him. I remember seeing something about that. It was like basically you know, I do so much for you.
This was in Belgium.
Yeah, it was not here.
Wow.
TikTok creators. This is all clout. I knew this was going to be clout. This is all a clout thing.
It was a clout thing because he shows up in a helicopter at his own funeral.
Yeah.
Just to say gotcha or something to the fans. And
I don't know about this. I don't know about that type of shit. All right, let me watch these trailers and we'll get back. All right, so we'll start with Home Free. I love all of these, like
the little Vought things.
The Vought things,
because it's
like,
from Vaught's official YouTube channel.
They're so good
for the boys. It's great.
And like, you know, and obviously, I feel like they're having a go at like Fox and
definitely.
You know, and all that. But like, I do love that. Like, I think that like when a show, I feel like everybody's a potential victim.
Yeah, they don't pull any punches.
They don't pull any punches.
They attack liberals here and there as well.
That woke walk and all that shit.
Oh, yeah, like, in the Disney in the park.
Yeah,
yeah. It had some.
You know, like it's just like, but that's the thing is like when the playing field is equal. I think that's when shit operates at its best, right? It's like Chappelle's show and shit. It's like anybody could get it. Mm-hmm. Anybody can get it, and like it's South Park. Yeah. Same thing. Anybody can get it, you know. And it's like it's always, and that's what it always seems like. It's not like. Because sometimes that shit can come across preachy. Sometimes it can, you know, and it doesn't. It comes across as just for the fucking fun of it, like just for the the comedy of it.
Just is making a point.
Yeah,
like, look, no one's exempt.
Yeah, and I think that they nailed it, like with this shit, you know, and I think that they usually do.
I think there's the thing too of like when you get like certain companies preaching equality, and it's like, oh, well, we'll show you equality. Everyone's getting these jokes.
Yeah,
you.
Dude, it was one of the things I haven't published this yet on Patreon, but like you know, like the dude Travis was here, you know, and I sat down with him on a pod during Skullstis, and you know, gay dude brought his husband, you know, of course, welcome, but I sat down with him and I was like, man, like, I want to know, because like I have an AO button on this board, you know, and I was like, and yet you are here.
Yeah, so they're not offended by
something. So why are you not offended by anything and he was like, because he said I just feel like it's almost like an acceptance thing. Like I'm a part of it, like everybody else is a part of it. Like, you know, and I was like, damn, man. And of course he said all like it's not malicious and all that, which I do think matters. But that thing of being feeling included because you get a joke aimed at your way is like, I don't know. I don't feel like we acknowledge that enough, you know, because sometimes we're so sensitive and so, you know, everything else. And like, you know, like I've seen plenty of gay comedians make straight jokes. They're great. You know what I mean? Like, you know, like it's great. You know,
like on Off the Mats, I had this one dude. Well, I guess it was a dude. There's used to be a woman, transitioned to a dude, and we were talking about it. Sarah made a point too about this. Whenever there's like the trans talk, you rarely hear the women who transition to men complaining and fighting for this and that. It's usually, or it's primarily the other way around. And, you know, well, we want to play in the sports. No, you shouldn't be allowed to play in the sports. Fuck off.
That's a very controversial thing to say in some circles, though.
They can eat a bag of dicks,
right?
Because all the people who are fucking talking about, they should be allowed to play, have never fucking played a fucking sport.
Yeah,
like all the women who are like against it, like they're the athletes doing it. But my guest who was on, they made a valid point. They're like, look, because I asked him about it. I was like, you know, how do you feel about all this? They're like, I don't care. You know, everyone's too sensitive, and the people who are actually being the most sensitive about it don't have a fucking dog in the race.
Yeah, that's usually how it is.
Yeah, so I think that's a good point. And
a lot of squeaky wheels out there.
And I always try to, like, whenever I get into those conversations, I always try to establish a baseline. I just had a great conversation with this guy. I'll leave his name out of it just in case to protect the guilty. But like, he's in the Transformers world.
Okay.
And as a creator, and we have a conversation, and in that conversation we had the talk of all of the non-binary characters that are in this new Transformers show. There's one Transformer in
the new kids show. Really?
There's one Transformer and one child that are both non-binary.
And how old is the child supposed to be in the show?
Elementary school age.
Wow. Okay.
I would guess. I don't really know. I should
fairly young.
Looks like a young girl.
Pre-puberty.
Looks prepubescent to me.
Okay.
So anyway, and he was kind of all for it, and I don't care But if I had a gun in my head and I had to make a decision about how do I feel about this, my answer is that I probably find it to be inappropriate. So I don't care. But if you're going to ask me if I had to sit and think about how do I feel about this is probably where I land. And we had a debate about it.
Okay.
And it was all cool. And we stayed up,
screaming at each
correct.
other.
And both of us, I mean, there was.
Well, that's the way.
Of course, but it's so rare.
Yeah, it is very rare.
But there's so many comments in the show about like,
oh God,
no, good comments. I can't believe I listened to two grown men debate a topic and stay friends and not yell at each other and not fight
or some shit.
And he had I think a lot of DMs on his end. I had a lot of DMs on my end about man, I really enjoyed that conversation. Yeah. But whenever I have those conversations and I am perhaps on an opposite side of a very vocal party, on either side of the aisle, I always try to make a point early on to say, look, I don't care. Yeah, I am losing no sleep over this shit. But if you want to know how I feel about it, this is how I feel about it.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. Is like, look, making people aware. But the thing is too, when people ask a question, be prepared to hear some shit you don't want to hear.
Yeah.
When people ask me questions and I say the first thing that comes to my mind, and you know me, if you ask me something, what's the first thing that comes to mind? It might not be anything of what you're expecting.
And it may not be user friendly.
You started this, not me.
Right.
I was just here. So don't ask me dumb questions. But yeah, it's like, look, at the end of the day, most of us don't care. But, there are these entities that are trying to force us to pick a side. And it's like, the second you force me to pick a side, I'm probably not going to pick yours.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And that's the other thing about it, right? Is that like I don't care if you are trans. I don't care if you are non-binary. I don't give a fuck what you are. But you know what irritates me? When I go to pick up a bottle of shaving cream and it's telling me what I need to think politically. Yeah. That's what irritates me. Yeah. Like, I don't care about the actual people living their lives and getting by. Like, by all means, do what makes you happy, as long as you're not hurting anybody else. But when my shaving cream is telling me how to think, that's when I'm like, well, wait a goddamn fucking minute here. That's where I start getting irritated. And then I feel like the shaving cream is only doing it. It's not because like the shaving cream is really into it. No, you know what I mean? The shaving
cream's doing it for
the public cloud.
Yeah. Definitely.
All right. So then that was a good conversation. So then we have the return of Black Mirror. With the trailer. I'll be honest with you, I don't think much of this trailer, but I also think Black Mirror is a very hard show to make a trailer for.
Yes. It's anthologies all over the place.
Yeah.
Tons of subject matters.
So I'm definitely interested. It probably will be what gets me back on Netflix to use this gift card.
Just do it. Just do it for a week.
Yeah, well, we have this gift card. I think it's for 3 months.
Okay.
You don't need that much time.
So that's the thing is I want to sit down with Laura and I want to make a list of like, look, this is what we're going to consume, and then we're out. Mm-hmm. We got 3 months because I'm not continuing it.
Is They Clone Tyrone on the list?
Probably not. but like, here's the thing: is that like
That's great.
Here's the cold hard truth. Mm-hmm. I'm coming up on a year now of no Netflix,
and you're loving it, right?
I don't miss it. I don't miss it. Uh-huh. I'm never like, fuck, I wish we had Netflix. There's only one time where I was like, damn, I would actually watch this right now. Mm-hmm. And it was the Dahmer shit. And I ended up catching it somewhere else. Yeah. Just I was at somebody's house and they were like, hey, man, we can watch it.
From last year.
And it was good.
It was great, man.
It was good.
It was my favorite thing from Netflix, probably.
I have Netflix and I'm not missing it a bit.
Yeah. Like, I'm just it's not necessarily an easy thing to hear, but like, I'm never like, fuck, I wish I had Netflix. Ever.
Well, and I think they just started the thing because my buddy Steve, I guess his girlfriend has Netflix, or no, she uses her cousin's Netflix, and his brother had Netflix, and he canceled the Netflix because I'm like, oh, well, we have this, and I think they just started the whole crackdown on everything, which a lot of people are like, oh, they're going to start losing subscribers, but apparently, nope, they started gaining subscribers, and I was like, oh, shit, like, I was hoping I was going to backfire on them, but...
You got to put your money where your mouth is.
And here I am like, well, the only person in our house that actually watches Netflix is Sophie.
I watch Netflix a decent amount, so...
Here's the question. The sharing password thing. What are your thoughts on that? Like, if Netflix doesn't want you to share your password, is that fair?
For a company, I get it as a business.
Yeah, I understand it too. I understand people's animosity against it too.
Yeah. So
that's because they've been doing it for so long.
Yeah, see, I'm
paying.
I almost don't understand people's animosity towards it.
Yeah, business wise.
So, yeah, business wise,
it makes sense. Yeah, of course, you want those dollars.
Actually in the right.
Yeah,
but from my perspective, like I'm paying. You're getting paid regardless. So. If I want to share, like, it's not even about the sharing thing either. I think somehow, somewhere in there, it fucks with Sarah. She can't watch it on her phone, and it's our fucking Netflix thing.
It's something you have to do. I think on a monthly basis, you have to re-up something.
Well, there's something. So there's
so many devices.
There's like different tiers to it. So there's one that's like you can have it on one device playing, and then there's one that's like you can have it on multiple devices playing.
So I know. Sophie's profile. She was watching it, I think, in the basement one day, and it just stays on there. And then she was watching it upstairs later on. When I went to turn on Netflix, I didn't realize what I clicked on, and then I got the message like you can only use this on one device.
Right.
So you can only use like the profiles.
Okay.
So then I went to my profile and it was perfectly fine.
But that you might be paying for multiple.
Yeah. I think we're paying for 2 or maybe it's 3. I don't know.
So it's one of the tiers.
So we were only paying for 1. So like every now and then we had to yell at the kids like, turn that shit off. So we're watching our stories.
And that's why I told Sarah, I was like, none of us are ever really watching Netflix
at the same time.
Yeah. I don't fucking watch it at all, other than Black Mirror right now. Sarah watches it while she's at work, which is we're all asleep by that point, and Sophie watches it.
During the day.
All kind of together, or one of us is away. So it's like, why don't we just do the one TV tier?
But like, I think that like if I get it. Like if they're like, look, we're not going to let you share it. I mean, like, I guess like I Patreon. Like I'm sure that people share shit from my Patreon to each other. Like. But I mean, if you asked me what would be my preference, would be that you did not.
Yeah.
I mean, again, as a business, there's money being made from it. Like, yes, they are in the right.
Right.
Like, I can't be like, man, fuck Netflix for this.
Yeah.
It's more about like the disruption it has with like, well, this is our account, and my wife can't even like get on. I guess whatever you guys are explaining, like, there's something you got to re-up, but it's like. I mean, let me just fucking watch in peace if I'm going to watch it.
I wonder, like, there's a bunch of this stuff, man, that I wonder about, like, the fallout of it, like, just like movies not making the money and shit, like the fucking decline of Rise of the Beast in its second week is ridiculous. Flash didn't hit like they thought it was going to hit in this opening weekend. Like,
there's been a whole bunch of storming online about it.
Shit's just not performing these days, and like, I think the next movie I'm going to see in the theater is Oppenheimer.
In July,
and then I don't know when. I guess
you're not going to be in line to see the Beetle.
I don't think I'll be in line. I might watch it with Laura if we have like no kids or something. Okay. But and then is there another Marvel movie this year?
Marvels comes out with your favorite chicken.
Yeah, baked chicken. but then all that Marvel shit just got pushed back.
Yeah.
Well, really? Was Secret Invasion still dropping?
Yes. It's the movies. The movies have got pushed back.
Well, didn't Deadpool get pushed up?
Oh, did they?
I think Deadpool got pushed up, but everything else.
The Kang shit got pushed back a year.
Well, that's because of Jonathan Majors.
Yeah, I think Kang might have died in Ant-Man.
Really?
It was an Ant-Man, right? Like,
yeah.
I think that might have been the end of Kang.
But they teased him in Loki season 2, which is supposed to drop this year.
Yeah, I don't know.
And that got pushed back.
Yeah. Oh, did that? Okay, that's why.
Blade got put. I don't think Blade's ever happening.
Yeah, Blade keeps getting pushed back. Every time they say this, because Blade was supposed to come out this fall, and they're like, maybe next summer.
I didn't. When did that pushback get announced today or yesterday?
Yesterday.
Damn, I missed that. All right.
Yeah.
And then we got some questions. Let's see here. So Paul C. says, last week we spotlighted each of your wives and the things they did for you because they love you. Let's flip the script. What are some things that you've done to accommodate your wives? What are some things that you've done for them because they love it and you in turn love them? And as a follow-up, did you end up coming around on that thing? Do you now have a greater appreciation for what it is? So I can tell you one thing like that springs to mind. My wife, I love her dearly. She's the most important person in the world to me. My son rises and sets with her. But she gets into shit, does all the things with it, and then gets on to some new shit, does all the things with it. And at any rate, like, so she wanted to, my wife's a physical therapist. At one point, she wanted to do craniosacral therapy. It's like this whole fucking separate thing. And it was pretty intensive in terms of the amount of education required for it and blah, blah, blah. You know, and I kept the kids the whole time so that she could go do that on her own and, you know, not be interrupted and blah, blah, blah. Then she got that, certified in that, so we're good there. Then she went to be a yoga instructor. So kept all the kids. She went and got all the classes and got all the certifications. And now she's a certified yoga instructor. She can do that as well. She doesn't, I don't think, at this point, but she does.
She did for a while.
She did for a while. Yeah. She did for a while. So like anytime that she has had one of these passions or interests or things, like I've always taken I've always tried to be supportive in that sense, take the kids, let her do her thing. And so like that would be one for me. And then what was the other one? What are some things that you've done for them because they love it and you in turn love them? I mean, I guess that's still it. I mean, I'll tell you another thing. Like I'm kind of like I'm a pretty good husband. Like if my wife
flex.
Yeah, like if my wife is off, I try to make myself just available. You know, I don't plan anything for myself, with one exception being nerve rage, and that's a matter of necessity. But like, I try to just be like, yeah, I'm here. What do you want to do? We can do whatever. Did you shit cut off?
Yeah.
I don't know why.
No, this.
Oh, you just plug it, push it back in there. Yeah. You know, I just like I'm pretty much like I always try to make myself available for her. You know, like so that like now she might say, look, I'm good. I'm going to go do something else and, you know, go get some work done or go do what you got to do. And that's fine too. But like, I'm generally like just around and shit. Like if, you know, like I'm here for every dinner. I'm here for every, like I'm a pretty good husband. Like I'm available, you know, which I feel like a lot of men aren't. Like a lot of men come home and like go to their basement and put the game on or put on their show and, you know,
they'll leave me alone.
Yeah. And I'm not, I'm like, as soon as I get home, I want to be in the mix. If there's a mix, I want to be in it. Like I'm pretty available. And then the last thing, do you have a greater appreciation for what that is, which is, did you end up coming around to that thing? No, I don't think there's anything like that. Like, my wife does like to hike and I don't really like to hike.
We go on walks all the time.
We do go on walks all the time, but like she likes to hike, and I don't really like to. Hike. Yeah, I'll do it with her in the winter.
Well, that's the worst time.
Or like the fall. Cold. Yeah, but I can't do it in the heat.
Okay,
I can't say fewer fucking bugs.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Bugs. I like
the fall and the spring is good time.
I also like when there's like no leaves, so you can like see better and all that shit. Like you know, so yeah, I guess I didn't concede to her there. But I mean, I've conceded on many things. Like my wife wanted me to stop drinking soda. I stopped drinking soda. You know, she's wanted me to stop. Like, there's a bunch of shit in my life that she's like.
She's made you healthier.
Yeah, for sure.
By leaps and bounds. Yeah,
for sure. Dante, any?
I mean, kind of similar. Like, you know, when Sarah's off, like I try to be available. I know there are times where like my recording days for like Compton is very specific. Usually, if we're doing anything like Phil comes over. Always try to make it a Saturday, but when you know she's home, she's like off or anything, I try to keep myself available. As far as like, you know, kind of conceding anything, recently with switching to jobs, there's health insurance options, and there's specific insurance that I know works great for me, like very, very responsive. And I was like, look, I want to go back to this, like, let's do it. And she was like, well, you know, that doesn't jive with what, you know, I want for the kid, because like Sarah's had the same doctor since birth.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Well, like now, not so much, but like up until I want to say 2015.
Wow.
And that's a big thing I guess that's maybe a big thing for other people, not me. Like
having the same position. Yeah.
Like I just need to make sure like, is shit working? But you know, if you get someone that's good, you know,
stick with it by all means.
You want to stick with them.
Who knows your personality and everything.
And the doctor I had through this one insurance, sports medicine, they knew it. They practiced jiu-jitsu as well, so they knew when I came in with a specific injury, they knew what was going on. And I had the opportunity to go back to that, and she was like, "Well, I'd really like to do this insurance because Sophie can keep the same doctor that she's always had. And I was like, look, whatever, if it keeps the peace and it keeps everyone, the doctor that Sophie has, Sarah really likes them. I was like, that's fine. I'll make my way. But most things were pretty like even on. It's like if she asked me not to do something, for the most part, I'm like, okay, makes sense. It checks out. Sounds like it's probably my best interest.
It's nothing like, it's nothing egregious. Like it's like, I feel the same way.
I mean, everything that, she needs something, because she's not really like, there's never really anything that she's like, hey, I need this. And if she does say, hey, I'd like to have this time, I say, okay, well, no big deal. With her having a schedule where she works at night, if I'm home, I take the kid. It's like, let's go out to the park. Let's go, shoot basketball. Let's go do things. Let mommy rest. So I try to give her time to recover.
That makes perfect sense to me. Sam M, who I think very highly of, and has one of the best DTOF displays I've seen. And he displays 1/12 scale figures in them.
Wow. Does he do with risers?
He uses risers and figure stands for everything. It's very well balanced. It's sharp. It's clean. Except I think he's selling. I don't know if he's getting out of it or not. But show question. Hope you're all doing well. My boys have been watching the cartoon Recess on Disney Plus, a late '90s cartoon, and it was one of my favorites as a kid. I have noticed that in front of the occasional episode is one of those content warnings to signal some issue with the content. Whenever I see that, just out of curiosity, I pay special attention to see what is so problematic about the episode. For the life of me, I cannot even point out what the content warning could be for. I guess my question for you is this. Who is this for? As far as kids go, I'd bet a paycheck or two on two things. One, no kid is bothering to read an 8-paragraph essay before the episode. 2, no kid is watching this show and walking away offended by anything seen on the screen. So is it for adults? If you are an adult and claim to be offended by an episode of Recess, I won't even call you soft or a snowflake. I would just call you a liar. It just seems like a silly stunt to pander to a very loud and very small minority of people. I've never have anticipated I'd be the guy railing against this kind of stuff, but things just get to a certain point and here I am. I'd love to hear what you guys think. Love you guys, Sam M. And here is what it says. The program includes negative depictions and or mistreatment of people or cultures. The stereotypes were wrong then, and they are wrong now. Rather than remove this content, we want to acknowledge its harmful impact, learn from it, and spark conversation to create a more inclusive future together. Disney is committed to creating stories with inspirational and aspirational themes that reflect the rich diversity of the human experience around the globe. To learn more about how stories impact society, you can visit www.disney.com.
No child is
Stories Matter.
No child is reading that.
I don't know what I just put on the other day. Was it Aladdin? I think I put on Aladdin the other day, and that popped up.
Yeah, I was going to say that. And my next question would be for something else.
And then I was like, I didn't read it, but I knew what it was, and I was like, Jesus fucking Christ, dude, relax. But I think part of what it is trying to get ahead of a problem before it happens.
I think it's two things. I think it's one, so that if it does become a problem, they can fall back on, we're aware, we had this in there. Yeah. And two is if somebody tried to sue, they could say, wait a minute, we have taken liability off of us because we gave you a warning.
You made a choice, bitch. Get out of here.
Yeah. And I think it's all fucking silly.
It is silly, but it's their company. They're covering their ass. It's CYA.
And if you look at, I'm always on this channel and my channel and anybody else's channel defending the Uncle Remus stories, right? But if you look at, I'm going to plug something real quick. Where's all the...
So I think the first thing that I ever noticed doing that was on HBO or whatever, was the old Warner Brothers cartoons with Bugs Bunny and stuff, because they were made of their time, and there's certain stuff that would never be made today. And anybody who would show like the old black and white Three Stooges reruns and uncut, which you would almost never see anymore. You'd have to buy like a physical set because everybody else would cut certain things out of there.
Well, so you know who doesn't do that? Tubi TV. They never let me down.
Yeah, Tubi never cuts anything, which is great.
There's a huge channel out there called Defunct Land.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that. Yeah,
Yeah, they spend a lot of their time kind of breaking down Disney stuff and everything else. However, they have a video. I highly recommend you check it out. It's called "The History of the Terrifying Splash Mountain Ride," which is the ride that includes the Song of the South characters from what you call. But it gives a very accurate portrayal of the history of those stories and their origins that are very much opposed to what modern history has depicted them as, which is as some sort of racist sort of thing where they're probably the first documentation of African American literature in the nation, period. But and if you even if I don't want to go into a deep dive on this, but watch the video if you're interested. But even if you look at rabbits and rabbits that are used in stories from African folklore, the rabbit is a huge character. Because there's a particular type of hair that was in Africa that was exceptionally clever and all this type of shit. But
keep away from predators and everything else. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's all tied to it, and it's not what a lot of people think it is. And it bothers me how much it has been painted as such. But whatever. It's another one of those things where I'm like, why, of all the things that we could be worried about, why is this it?
It was again, when I was mentioning the whole Miguel O'Hara thing and people saying, oh, they're singling out Miles, they're being racist. People are choosing to look for things to be angry about. And even if you explain to them what it's about, they're like, no, fuck that. Yeah, I don't want to hear that.
Yeah, they don't want to hear anything that's not an echo chamber of themselves.
I've already made my mind up. Or, they're in a little echo chamber where, on Columpton, I posted... I post a lot of fucking things about Biden falling or stumbling over his words. I'll never get any shit about that.
Right.
Now, I also have the comment set where you have to follow me in order to comment.
Oh, really?
That's how I get followers. Fuck them.
Yeah, that's fair.
And a lot of them will forget to unfollow until I say thanks for the follow, dickhead. But when I put something up about Trump,
Dante's replies are great.
I put something up about Trump and they came for me. The army, they were in the comments or in the DMs, oh, you have your comments limited. Why? I was like, because you're too fucking stupid to read. Right. That's why I have them fucking limited. But also the thing is, it's not saying anything that's not true. It's mostly just jokes and pointing out the obvious.
Right.
But people in their little fucking bubbles, no matter what. Because and Steve was like, well, it's that Biden's cult isn't as thick. It was like, no, they are. They're just they
I don't think they're as zealot as much as zealot. Those Trump movies are fucking. They get
no. They came. Well, the one dude. There's one dude within all the DMs that actually heard me out, and at the end of it, he was like, okay, cool. Because he asked why.
Yeah, that's cool. One out of how many? I mean,
that's cool though.
I told him why cool. The comments were limited. It was really because the scammers, those bots.
Right.
And I told him
even first people that five the DM me get $5,000. Yeah.
And then I told him most trolls don't.
Thing.
Most trolls won't go the extra step. And he was like, okay, good call. All right, thanks for the info, dude. I was like,
yeah,
oh, wow.
Yeah, and that's why I think that fucking Biden's a fucking doof, and every time he gets up there and talks, I just think he's more of a doof. That motherfucker said delegation recently, and I was like, God bless this dude, man.
Look how many times Bush Jr. flubbed his words on.
But I thought he was a doof too.
Yeah. But I mean, it doesn't matter what side they're on. It's just
no. But it's just you got to take this though.
Yeah.
You got to take these jokes. Yeah. The same way George Bush took those jokes. You got to take these jokes now.
With George Bush, though, was at least you knew, at any other point, though, he was holding conversations coherently.
Yeah,
there's no
true.
point where we believe Biden's holding a coherent conversation.
And you wouldn't just see George Bush just fall.
No, that's true. You would,
but that motherfucker just be falling down and shit. He's Michael Douglas. But I think with with Trump, I always made those Trump jokes about how the shit that I used to find so funny was that motherfucker would just lie, and then and then put it on somebody. Yeah. He would say his lie. But then, he would be like, we have the fastest growing economy. I don't know if that's true. Dante told me that. I don't know if that's true. He would always do that shit. And it's like a get out of jail free card, And
then he was slick about it too, because he'd say it real quick. Dante told me, I don't know if it's true. But keep going.
Yeah, but you still get the line in there.
Yeah.
That's great.
Dante said that. I don't know if it's true. I had to ask him. So anyway, I think all these motherfuckers are doofs and crooked and fucking untrustworthy. And that, like, you know, I talked to somebody recently who I think is a perfectly fine human being. And they said something about some sort of it was about the Kennedy assassination, right? That the CIA killed Kennedy.
It was a kite. We saw it in Killer Kites.
Yeah.
With a T.
Kite.
With a T.
With the T.
It was in the background with a gun.
And that's a fact.
So he was like, so I was like, oh, here we go. And he was like, what? And I was like, yeah, the CIA killed Kennedy and we never made it to the moon. And 9/11 was an inside job. And it was a plan to...
And Earth is flat.
And I'm saying and he's looking at me going like, yeah. And I'm like, you know what the weird thing about conspiracy theorists are? And he said, what? And I said, you can never find one that only believes one.
Yeah, they believe. Yeah,
isn't that? So no, I didn't say flat Earth. It was all the other ones.
He didn't go that far.
Inside job.
Yeah. No moon landing's faked and everything.
You know, and that's I don't know. It's fine. He's fine. It's all fine.
They get their information from. They don't get it from the mainstream media. They get it from some guy in the basement.
Yeah,
it's like because he's legit.
You know, fireblog.com. Anyway, all right, boys. Good, and not to say that the mainstream media is worth the fuck either.
No, they're trash too.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
But
all
at least
right,
you can follow the paper trail.
Yeah, just like that fucking alien ship. The Chinese Aryan ship.
Yeah.
I want to warn you, the spy balloon was just a beginning.
But like, you know, like that recently that alien shit that like landed in Nevada or wherever, and it's like, yo, are you serious, man? Of all the times that nobody films something, this is the time where there's like 8-foot creatures walking around in your backyard, and now you don't have and now you call the cops. And then I told a buddy of mine, and he was like, "Well, if they'd have shot him, then they'd have had it on video footage somehow." But like, it was like, why? And motherfuckers just believe this shit, you know, like with carte blanche. Believe it. Like, I don't know.
People believe they were going to Naruto run on Area 51 until they saw the guns.
Yeah. I wish they would have, though. You just see all these anime kids get mowed down.
Jeez, they've been massacre. They got there and the guards had the guns. They were like, hey, we're just going to peacefully gather here.
Yeah. Just you know. Anyway, good to see the NRR Bates all back, or I think I see crew is all back together. Sorry, Alan Mack, they're now all split apart again. But have you ever used or have any strange nicknames for your coworkers? For instance, Kit Kat. He always takes a break. Oh no! Moonlight, only active when the boss is near. Seaweed, floats around all day and stinks of shit. E.T. always wants to go home. That's funny. G-Spot, you can never find them.
Damn, I don't have anything like that.
Would love to hear if you or any of the ones you named. I mean, oh my God.
You have that at your Mama job. Nicknames for everybody.
I give the nicknames out.
Yeah.
Let me see. You gave all of us nicknames.
Yeah, let me see if I can find some. So, Toby Teeth. He's got really bad like tooth decay.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so we call him Toby Teeth.
And he gets it? He understands? Or,
there's only one way to read it. Let me say that if you talk to him for 2 seconds, you would immediately agree it's the most noteworthy thing about him is the state of his mouth.
Does he have halitosis?
Probably. I try not to even get that close. His teeth are fucked up.
Okay, fair. That's fair.
Let me see. Oh, Showtime. This female I know, and she once had a dude named Sticky Mulligans. Look him up on iTunes. He's a recording artist.
You sound like you're Mark Twain, dude.
Listen,
coming up with these names.
So Sticky Mulligans that's his stage name, and he wrote a song for this girl called Showtime, and I found out about it, and now everybody calls her Showtime.
Oh yeah, that's great.
Yeah, let me see. Tall Paul.
Okay,
he's like 4'7".
No.
Oh. Let's see. I'm trying to go down my list. The lituation. Because every time he gets drunk, he becomes like one of those like super loud, like kind of like boisterous, like, you know, party animal drunk. So I call him the lituation. Let me see.
Because you seem to have names.
Mocap. This guy I call Mocap. just because his last name starts with M-O. And,
like the mocap suit.
Yeah. I call him mocap. I don't know. I have a bunch. Like I'm trying to think about other ones like throughout time, but yeah, those are like kind of the.
I don't have anything like that.
Oh,
so putting up.
Stay Puft. He's just
Really?
he's just a fat dude.
That must be a fat dude.
You know, we call him Stay Puft.
Nice.
You know, it's just like it's so easy. It's like, you know, you just start handing them out. That somebody does something and it's just like it sticks. You know, like my buddy Cat. I don't know why they called him Cat, but everybody called him Cat. You know, like, and his dad was Black Cat. His dad was Black Cat, and now he's Cat, and then he's got a son now, and we call him Kitty Cat. Like, I don't know why. I don't know why, but like it's just a thing.
All right.
You know, so it's just I don't know, a bunch of them, you know, characters. Toad. Yeah, he just looks like a little frog.
Does he have like the eyes popping out?
No, he's just like a little, like just like a little, like just like a little frog, man. I don't know. Call him Toad.
Your job is wild.
Yeah.
Where I used to work, I want to say specifically, everyone had a nickname.
Okay.
Like every single person. It was just like, just because they, you know, we always kind of interacted with everyone. And it was like, look, there's a lot of motherfuckers, so we got to start nicknaming these bitches. So, I mean, you know, there's a chick with big ass hands. We called her BH. We didn't want to say big hands out loud because she knew she had big hands. Called this one dude, we called this one dude Garbage Juice because he smelled exactly like that. Mm-hmm. Garbage juice.
We had a dude at the dock when I worked on a loading dock, and we called him Day. Just Day. It was an acronym for Dumbass Yo.
Oh, so
and then sometimes we would call him Day Boy. Dumbass Yo Boy.
So back in the retail days when I was still young and my first job at like Acme, we all had our real name badges that we had, and then we were giving out blank ones that we could write up. So we all had nicknames because our assistant manager was a young guy who was pretty cool, who kind of had to keep track of all of us. Mm-hmm. And he'd use the intercom to call us. And I got the nickname Fozzie Bear.
Yeah.
The baker girl called me Fozzie Bear, and it stuck. One of my other guys, one of my best friends who worked there, his name was Papa Giorgio after Vegas Vacation. Mm-hmm. And Don was our assistant manager. We used to call him Don King because he was bald, so had the opposite of Don King's hair. That was basically it. Like in modern jobs, the modern jobs I've had, you would be able to do that.
I had one more person write in, but I'm not sure if this person wanted me to read this. Oh. Because it was just about like he had wrote back a couple shows ago talking about like at first he had stopped, he didn't listen to Nerd Rage because I turned off my decision. Yeah. I guess the listeners would be interested in this, but he said, "Good morning. Here's the more from my first email." He says, "I really think it all came down to lack of information on my end." He said, "When you started your Patreon, I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to send you some money. Love your work. I already had 3 people I was contributing to. You went on to say that the $1 tier just wasn't it for you, that it was all you wanted to give was $1. It just wasn't worth it to you." You went on to say that the $1 tier just wasn't worth it for you, and that if all you wanted to give was $1, it just wasn't worth it to you. So what I meant was, I think what I meant by that was that the content that I was holding at $5 and $10, I didn't think was just worth $1. Mm-hmm. So I kept that. Like right now, you can subscribe to my Patreon for $1 a month, and what you get from that is just Nerd Rage early. You know, and every now and then I'll post something for everybody just because I got so much shit. Like dude, like I didn't do a fucking video all week this week. I didn't do, well, that's not true. I did, on Tuesday I did a video, but aside from Tuesday, like I didn't shoot any reviews. I didn't do anything.
Was this a plan for when you and Laura had some time
I knew
together?
Laura was going to be here, so I tried to be available and make myself, so I had all my shit pre-logged so that I could go, and like I had shit on Patreon every single day. You know, well, I'm on the wrong path now, I think. Yeah. But like, because I moved over to the music path. But like, I had Patreon material every single day to include 2 times, at least once or twice. And then I had,
I saw you were doing some Go Live thing. I saw the teaser for it on regular like Facebook and stuff. So this is going to be on Patreon and right now or something.
Oh, no. It was just that it was now live on Patreon. It was the Sit Down Saturday. And then I had, what else? And then I had a review last week that went live on the regular channel. I'm trying to think what it was of. I think the drift. It was of like the Bayformers drift, and then I had not sit down Saturday, the Nerd Rage Top 5 video that went live as well. So there's 2 things on my public channel, and then 5 to 7 things on Patreon, all in 1 week. And I didn't make any content that week, and I still have shit left over.
Wow.
You know, so like, and it's just that like when I do this shit in my mind, it has a certain value attached to it. And like, I appreciate anybody wants to just say, hey man, I just want to, you know, as they chuck in a buck, as they say. Yeah. So I try to give something every week. You get the show early, and it's not, you know, and it is, to be fair, it's uncut also. So like episode 400 on Patreon was uncut. Episode 400 out in the wild was definitely cut. The whole cut conversation was cut out of it. The whole, like, there's tons of differences. Anyway. But yeah, I could see how that could sound annoying. He said at the time I couldn't really afford anything more than that, other than stopping one of the other 3. So rather than I just abstained, you know, which is fine. Fortunately, wife became a sugar mommy with some substantial pay raise.
Yes,
let's some fucking. For that, he said, to be clear, it's your content that you pour your blood, sweat, and tears into. I do not know, nor have I ever thought I'm entitled to any of it. With that said, the content I enjoyed the most was being gated. I have noticed over the years some things fell off, like Legends reviews and such, but I seem to remember you saying they didn't perform as well, so you just left them off. So here's the thing. They never fell off. I always kept doing Legends, or unless you're talking about Marvel Legends.
Yeah.
But like, I think he's talking about Legend scale Transformers.
I thought he was talking about Marvel Legends.
And I never stopped doing Marvel. Like, I never stopped doing
on Patreon. Right?
Yeah, but I never stopped doing Legend scale Transformer reviews on my regular channel until this year.
Yeah.
You know, but if he thought they were falling off for me, it's because people weren't really noticing them.
Yeah,
you know, and they would just get lost in the sauce. Now, if you're talking about Marvel Legends, that is different. I have Marvel Legends reviews on my channel right now, my public channel, that have not reached 1,000 views.
Wow.
You know, like they weren't getting watched, and it was actually hurting my algorithm, because if you produce shit and it's not getting any views,
then it starts down everything else.
It drags down everything else. He said, then there was a video saying that you were doing what you were doing and why, which I'm guessing is this most recent one. And then he said, if it felt bad, I deeply enjoyed the sit down Saturdays and the conversations. Hell, the wife watches the collector critiques with me. The collector critiques are still on the regular channel, by the way. She started thinking they were funny, but also she collects small succulent type plants. Oh, dude, welcome to the club. That I'll have you know, she started taking pride in her display. She started doing risers and purposeful placement with AKA posing. We actually have back and forth about it. So thank you for that. Absolutely. As I said, it felt bad because I could not afford it, which it is a me issue, I know, but it still felt bad. You had become a uniquely reoccurring part of my family without me noticing it, then you left. But I just going to interject there, I was still there. Mm-hmm. You're still getting dummies, still getting Nerd Rage Top 5s, still getting masterpiece reviews, at least 1 to 2 videos a week. Mm-hmm. You know, it's just not everything, you know? He said, then you left. The empty was even noticed by my wife after a time, and we discussed what was going on, which at the time was you were fed up with stupid YouTube and random shitty people, and the community you built on Patreon was where you were going to go. After that night, I started listening to the pod on my way to work. I started on the current episode and thought it was great, so I went backwards. The richness, detail, conversations is really good. I can't say how great it is. It's something special that transcends the medium. Well, I appreciate that. I became a Patreon supporter of yours about a month ago. I'd forgotten about it till episode 400 wasn't released. It was a head-slapping moment for me because I had allocated the funds for it a while ago but kept forgetting. As I read over this, it sounded disjointed and like a whiny child. No, please don't. And he said, you don't know me in any way, shape, or form or fashion, and I'm talking about how you changed our lives. But you know, and look, and I appreciate the kind words, and I'm welcome, of course, to Patreon. But yeah, the thing with me, and like, you know, just in case there's somebody out there that also didn't quite grasp it, was just that like I was doing 4 things on my channel. I was doing Nerd Rage discussions. I was doing Sit Down Saturday. I was doing masterpiece reviews, Legends reviews, or masterpiece reviews, non-masterpiece reviews, basically, and then dummies, right? And the Legends reviews, or basically the non-masterpiece reviews, were barely getting 1,000 views or so.
Yeah, because Chris used to hand you all his chug stuff that you would get.
That as well. Yeah. And then Robert sends me all the Legends, and you know, other people have obviously sent Legends as well. I can't even list them all. You know, people, my viewership has been very gracious towards me, but like from those, if they weren't getting the views, it's like, well, why am I doing this? And then like I get like 1,000, 2,000 views, and then had to deal with 50 shitty comments as a result of it. Well, it's like, well, then why am I doing this?
Yeah.
So that was an easy one, right? So then the only other thing that was left, dummies feels appreciated to me. It feels appreciated when I do dummies and put it up. It does the views. The comments are great.
Conversations are great.
Like it feels appreciated. So like it's still there.
And you still put all the funny stuff in the background when you're random images and shit.
Yep. And then the masterpiece reviews, they still feel appreciated to me. They still do the numbers. They still get good comments. They still like it all feels appreciated. They get shared, et cetera, et cetera. Like it still feels appreciated by the general audience. But what didn't feel appreciated was Sit Down Saturday, which was something that I poured my heart into.
That takes the most effort probably out of everything.
And takes the most work.
That's my favorite videos that you made.
And people started taking it for granted and feeling entitled to it. And I started, it was like every one of those videos, like 6 hours of work, and I started dreading it. Yeah. And now I'm not dreading it anymore because even though the viewership of it is a smaller base viewership, they appreciate it. They show me they appreciate it. You know, like, and I'm also able to tackle content that I would never do publicly.
Okay.
Ever. You know, like just because like it would be too much bullshit would come from it. Too much shit stirring would come from it. Okay. So like the thing is like people generally appreciate things they pay for, you know, and for Sit Down Saturday is you get 4 to 5 episodes a month and it costs $5 a month. And if they're not worth $1 to you a week, that's fine because when I make it, I'm not thinking to myself, this is worth $1. You know, I'm just making it. But if it's not worth $1 to that person, then it's worked itself out because I didn't want to make it for someone who didn't feel as though it was worth $1. You know, motherfuckers would spend $1 on a cup of coffee, you know, myself included, you know, and so it's like now I'm making content. A lot of it is still public. Most of it is behind the paywall. But everything that I'm doing, I feel fulfilled in. And that's what was lacking before. You know, I'm happier, you know. So, yeah, thank you for writing in, Don. And thanks for joining the Patreon. And let's see. I'm trying to think if there's anything else.
Just real quick about the conversation with the intro to an episode saying, beware, this episode is going to have such and such.
Yes.
Have either of you noticed? Because I haven't gone back to watch any Simpsons on Disney Plus since it's been.
I have not noticed.
Yeah, because you know the Abu character is like gone from in the modern episodes now, and it's been in all the classic ones, and it's a pretty iconic character. Yeah, but that is a racial stereotype.
Yeah,
so I didn't know if that was.
But so was the gangster, the Italian gangster.
Yeah, so was the Italian gangster.
But he's still there,
and there was some other stuff, of course, randomly in that show as well.
But it's a lot of that shit is pick and choose, and you know what is? I feel like with that shit, and maybe I'm wrong. But I feel like rarely is it the Indian people.
Yeah.
You know, that are getting upset about it. Usually that character is found endearing to Indian people. They're like, you know, they love that character. Like I saw Indian people come out saying like, now you're going to take our Indian character away. That's been a part of this franchise forever and is like generally loved by everybody. You know?
He was.
There's a video. I don't know if I shared it or not, but there's a white guy. He's walking around. He's got a sombrero on. He's going up to people saying, is this offensive to white people? He's going to them. And they're saying, yeah, it's probably offensive. You should probably not wear it.
Right.
Then he goes to a Mexican community. He's wearing a sombrero. Is this offensive? And, you know, everyone was like, no, dude, it actually looks good on you. You know, keep it, you know, wear it. I've always said, you know, my feeling on who's getting offended. It always seems to be a specific group with nothing to do.
Fucking white people.
Specifically,
women.
Stay-at-home white moms and stay-at-home moms. And because I always use the example of like, if Steve and I walk into the room, I'm the only black dude in there. It's a bunch of these ladies, and it's Steve, the only white guy. And not that we use, you know, like racial slurs at each other, but if I went up to him, you know, and said something, and he's, you know, said it back. And, you know, we go laughing, they would jump to defend me.
Oh, yeah.
Meanwhile, I'm like, nah, we cool. Like, this is what we do.
But I always plug the fifth column, right? But which today's no exception. But there's a guy on there, Camille Foster, right? A black dude, and he's like, he has mentioned these times where like white women have just like come up to him like at like a tourist attraction, you know, and just like, you know, he's like looking at a waterfall. you know, like Niagara Falls, let's say, and it'll just be some white woman that comes up to him like, "Hey, I just want to say I am so sorry for everything."
Oh my God!
And he's like, "Sorry for what exactly?" And they're like, "For the oppression, for the racism, for the."
Oh my!
And he'll be like, "Look, I just want to say to you that I have a very successful job and that my family is doing great, and we probably wouldn't have these opportunities in any other country. So nothing to apologize for." And it's like, and they don't know how to act. They're like, it's like their brain starts like,
that's not what I was expecting.
That's not how the meme reads. But anyway, so with that, thank you guys for coming on, because I was definitely down 2 members this week. We got Joe and Chris on assignment.
Bobby's solo show. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'll do what must be done. I got to crank it up. And I also have to let people listen to it beforehand to make sure that I haven't said anything too insane. But anyway, so thank you, Phil, not only for showing up today, but for doing Twitter and our notes. Thank you, Dante, not only for showing up today, but for Facebook. Raul, I'm still trying to get with you for the Instagram thing.
On the Facebook, real quick question, because I try to steal Phil's notes and then drop them there. Memes. How do you feel about them?
Live it up.
All right, I got you.
Live it up.
I got a folder full.
Good, perfect.
Well, I might have to steal some of those.
I'll let Sarah proofread
perfect.
Before I put
now
them
even
out.
Even better. And Ricky, take your timber on the videos. You haven't had a video in a while.
What's
I don't know.
Ricky's doing multiple shows now, I think.
You see, he might be getting too busy out there now. I might have to put him in service.
Ricky's busy.
He's been making some appearances on So You Like Horror.
He's a busy guy. I've been making appearances in So You Like Horror. I'm a long-standing member.
Phil, you're part of the original group. It's not a flex. You're part of the team, dude.
And then, is there anybody else? I feel like I may be forgetting one other person. If I do, I apologize.
When's Gort starting his thing again? Did he say?
He did not.
Okay,
he did not.
Because I know he was talking to you about that.
Yes. And I'll make a big announcement about that cool. when that day comes. So with that,
velvety vagina,
wax buttholes, baby.
Taint is not what I'm supposed to say, but for some reason it seems like I was supposed to. Tight dick player.
He's so used to hearing
crazy.
Chris say it.